Predictable results, giving you a beautiful, functional smile fast. We're a non-corporate, privately owned one-stop dental care destination for over 15 years. No referrals, no extra stops. Just convenient, affordable care to save you time and money. Se habla español. Schedule your free consultation now at brightsmilesnc.com.
Hey, it's Kyle for FanDuel. America's #1 sportsbook is your home for NBA live betting. So even if you missed the first few minutes of the game or want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can make your picks from the first whistle until the final buzzer. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New FanDuel customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/Kyle to join today. That's FanDuel.com/Kyle. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Every second counts in a poison emergency. That's why Poison Help is standing by 24/7 to provide free assistance in over 100 languages. Save Poison Help as a contact in your phone today. Poison Help. 1-800-222-1222.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
Hi, everyone. It's the Adam Gold Show.
We just had a dramatic intro.
Oh, that was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I should sing something when we would.
Oh.
No, we shouldn't do
Well, I do have a theme
no.
for the bump music today, though.
Do we? What is What is our theme for the? That's Victoria, by the way. What is the theme for the bump music today?
This is the Adam Gold Show.
Yeah, it is. True. Look, it says it right behind me. You can see it. Where's the camera?
There
you
it
go.
is. Yep.
Right behind me. It says it Adam Gold Show.
There it is.
We're on YouTube. YouTube.com/Adam Gold Show or 99.9 The Fan.
Yeah.
So, my son, like in class when he should be like studying,
Yes.
he will watch the show.
Yes.
So I asked him, like, you just dial it up on YouTube? Because no, I just do a Google search. It always brings up WRAL, which is the parent company, TV5, and you can watch it through the WRAL Sports Fan app too, or the app, or the just WRALSportsFan.com.
Right.
So many ways to get to us, but we're always here live on YouTube. We'll take questions in the chat.
I
A
know.
little chat box. You can ask questions.
My camera now works, so my mom's real happy.
Very nice.
She can watch us, so.
Your mom watches?
Oh, yes. She does not care about sports, but she loves me.
Perfect.
So, yes. So
Man, we all have a lot in common.
I know.
So what's the theme for the bump music today?
Oh, well, in our area, I mean, it might be statewide, but I know in our area, the Triangle, it's supposed to be really stormy. So all stormy weather bumps.
Oh, very nice.
I know.
Are we going to use stormy weather?
Maybe.
It's a great.
We shall see.
It's a great old jazz song. All right. Yeah, it is. So I know my son's school was canceled today.
Oh, did they cancel
Yeah, they're
school?
virtual. Yeah, I mean, come on, it's North Carolina. We're
True.
afraid it's going to rain. Look, it's going to be
Shut
worse
it
than
down.
that. It's going to be worse than that. They forecast there's a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings and watches and things like that. So I hope everybody is safe. Don't venture out if you don't have to.
See, I would take snow over wind because living in the woods,
Yeah.
you're around a bunch of really heavy, tall things.
A lot of trees.
that
A lot
fall
of trees,
down.
no question about it. We've had to deal with that up in Canada, Virginia,
Yes.
USA, wherever we live.
Mm-hmm.
So good, be safe. That's what we want, and
Yeah.
we are statewide. So whether you're listening to us at the beaches or in the mountains, northern part of the state, southern part of the state, I hope everything is well where you live. So Are we ready? Let's go. Finally, something musical.
I know. What a Wednesday.
Do we know what happened there?
I no clue. There's gremlins in the system.
I wonder.
That
Because we have affiliates here. I wonder if the affiliates are like, are we going to get anything?
Yeah. What are they doing?
Are they here?
Dramatic pause? I think that's what that was.
Like they're
that
always
was really
here.
Just a dramatic
But
pause.
are they here?
The wind just blew us away.
Exactly. All right. Much to do here, and we should start with the fact that UNC played a basketball game last night, and as we told you yesterday,
Look at them.
this was not going to be an issue. I said, we've been right all week, I believe, so far. Well, 2 days. Duke was going to blow Wake Forest out, and they did. And UNC was an 8-point favorite on the road at Virginia Tech, and they covered.
Yeah, they did.
32. They won by 32.
They thought they were Duke for a second.
Well, yeah, did you look at the script?
No, I did not.
My gosh, we're channeling. So UNC, this is what I wrote. UNC prepared for Duke by impersonating Duke.
There you go.
That's what they did. They looked just like the Blue Devils. Well over 50% from the field, over 50% from three, 24 assists on 33 made baskets. They held Virginia Tech to under 40% from the field shooting. It wasn't a great offensive rebounding night. Remember, these 5 games in a row they had won before last night. They had been dynamite in terms of getting to the offensive glass and getting second chance opportunities. Last night was not that, mostly because there just weren't a lot of missed shots to go get. I think there were only 24 defensive rebounds available. Carolina got 7 of them, which is a relatively low percentage. But look, they were good, and there you go. Big win for the Tar Heels. So let's just start with the head coach here, Hubert Davis, on the fun being back for UNC.
I mean, I don't think it's any secret. We're playing well, and we're playing our best basketball right now. And, since, Clemson, when we went up to Syracuse, something has changed in us, just the attention to detail. I just think we're more consistent at doing the little things. Obviously, no one's perfect, no team is perfect, no coach is perfect, but I think we're building really good habits and doing those little things consistently well that's allowing us to be successful. And we just have a lot of guys settled into their role and playing well at the same time. And that puts a smile on my face.
All right, well, we want Hubert to be happy. One more thing about the game, because I mentioned 24 assists on 33 made baskets. And when you move the ball like they did, and again, I compared it to Duke. That is a good thing. UNC fans should be happy about that, because that's generally, when Duke is playing well, that's what they do. It's about moving the ball and getting better looks, and that's really what has happened for UNC.
I told the guys this is the reason why I think we're shooting well, is because we're generating good threes. Yeah, we're working offensively inside and out. And so we're attacking the paint, trying to dominate points in the paint through post-penetration offensive rebounds. And when you do that, that leads to good threes, open threes. And I just have always felt like if we could generate good threes, we'll make them. And we made a lot of them tonight.
Yeah, they did. 15 of 28, I believe. That's pretty good. They have won 6 in a row, have the Tar Heels. But only the win over Florida State was against a team ranked inside the top 100. Such is the predicament of teams in the ACC, even those teams that operate at or near the top of the Atlantic Coast Conference. There just aren't enough impactful wins to move the needle. So if you are somebody who is hopeful that North Carolina makes the NCAA tournament, you have probably seen that in the midst of this 6-game winning streak, North Carolina's position on those presumptive brackets, we will call them, whether it's Joe Lenardi on ESPN or Jerry Palm, our friend, who will join us on Friday, by the way, that their position in the bracket hasn't changed at all. Not even a bit. They've won 6 in a row and have basically been dominant in the 6 games. They weren't dominant at Syracuse, but they won that game. They're still in the first 4 out, or whatever it's called, depending on what bracket you look at. Nobody really has them in the field. And I know because, we pay attention to these types of things, I know that there are a lot of North Carolina fans who are frustrated by, well, why is this team in, or this team, or that team? Like, I get it. It doesn't appear that there's a ton of difference between UNC and Boise State or Oklahoma or Xavier or San Diego State or whomever. It doesn't matter. But ultimately what we are looking at here is a North Carolina team that has very few good wins. In fact, one win over a team that would be in the field. That was the win over UCLA. And a lot of losses to teams in the field. Now, that doesn't mean they're not one of the better, that they're not good enough to be in. But this is what you get when you get a lot of data points. Your resume, it speaks for itself. And what Carolina's resume says is they can't win any of those games. Doesn't mean, I shouldn't say can't. They just haven't won any of those games, and that's how they determine who makes the field. This sounds like remedial, NCAA tournament, but that is just the reality of where they are. And you're not going to see a change until they beat a good team. You just won't. Believe it or not, I don't know how much of this has been discussed. Right now, North Carolina is 4th in the ACC. And SMU, by the way, won by the skin of their teeth last night against Syracuse. They basically won at the buzzer, at home against Syracuse. That would have been a crushing loss for SMU. You can't lose to a bad team on your own floor. That's a deal breaker, especially if you are, and SMU is not an NCAA, they're not inside the NCAA tournament cut line, in my opinion. But they're one of those teams that are close. That would be a deal breaker, that a loss to Syracuse at home. But they won the game. And if you're UNC, I actually think it's better for you to be the 6th seed in the ACC tournament in Charlotte than it is to be the 4th seed. One, it gives you another game. It gives you another chance to blow out an opponent. And it also, I think, maybe steers you clear of Duke until a final. And I know the prevailing thought, well, Duke, they're not going to care about the ACC tournament. We're going to get to that in a minute. But short of beating Duke on Saturday, which I've said this before, possible but unlikely, I think the Tar Heels would be better served to be the 6th seed, beat, as it would turn out, the whoever comes out of the 11-14 game, which right now, Pitt is 11th.
Wow.
That's right. And I would just point this out about Pitt. They're a top 60 team. So that would be a quad 2 opportunity for UNC, and those count. So that wouldn't be a bad win to get on, at the ACC tournament. Oh, by the way, you could lose that game. Carolina has lost to Pitt already this year. You could lose that game. So that would be a very, very good opening game for UNC at the ACC tournament. And then, if you win that game, you would draw the 3 seed, which probably going to beat Clemson. But even though that's a terrible matchup for UNC, it is an opportunity to get a quad 1 win. Frankly, you'd rather that be Louisville than Clemson, but that's what it is. All right, so we have an alert.
Yes.
That would be my phone with an alert.
Everyone's phone just went off.
Real quick, because
yes, we'll have to do updates. Yes,
for those people in the in our area, we have a tornado warning in the area until 12:45. It doesn't actually say where the tornado warning is.
It's kind of important.
I would imagine it is central North Carolina, because that's where we are.
Right, yeah.
But a tornado warning in the area until 12:45. So
next 30 minutes at least.
yeah, please be careful. So just another opportunity to win a game. If SMU, by the way, doesn't win at Florida State and UNC ends up finishing 4th, well, the first game you'd play would be on that Thursday. It would probably be against, say it's SMU. And again, that would be a good game. And it would be a quad 1 game. So that's good. You would get an opportunity to win a quad 1 game, but I'd almost like to have another game first, like to get a couple more wins. But then your next game in the semifinals would be Duke again. And now I will get back to, and again, I've said this before, I think there is a chance UNC can get in without ever beating Duke. But you better win a bunch of games otherwise. So now to the Duke part of this equation before I move on to the Hurricanes. Because I think there is a prevailing thought that these games don't matter to Duke. That Saturday doesn't matter to Duke. Doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter as much. I disagree. I think if you have watched this Duke team play, they have absolutely stopped playing whoever the opponent is. They are going after it every game. It's almost an I'll use the word insatiable here, desire to win and to prove a point every game.
Yeah.
So Saturday's going to matter to them, apart from it's one of those games that will always matter. But Saturday's going to matter. I think with Auburn's loss to Texas A&M last night, whether or not it really matters in the overall grand scheme of things, I think Duke is in play for the overall number 1 seed, which may or may not matter at all to in the grand scheme of things. But I think it just matters. Every single game matters to them.
You can tell, especially with this probably being Cooper's last
Maybe?
run.
Did you say maybe?
I
my
know.
son. I think he's a Duke fan, right? But he's more a fan of players.
Yeah.
He's convinced himself that Cooper Flagg is coming back.
Poor guy.
All right. It is funny. My mother-in-law also is convinced that Cooper Flagg might be coming back. But here's the thing. In today's college basketball, this is a quick tangent. In today's college basketball, financially speaking, you don't take a hit if you come back to school. Cooper Flagg would not really be taking a financial hit if he comes back to school because he could make all the money.
Yes.
Here's where the hit comes. It takes you one more year to get to whatever the second contract is in the NBA. So it's a 1-year delay to get to that money. That's a pretty big assumption that you're going to be an all-NBA caliber player, though. So just think about this. Mm-hmm. Let's just say Cooper Flagg, he'll be the first pick overall. Let's just say Cooper Flagg is a very good NBA player, but not one of those guys. Not an all-NBA first team or all-NBA second team guy. So he's just a very good NBA player. Let's call him Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
So the money is huge, but it's not $280 million huge. It's not Jason Tatum huge, right? Could Flagg become Jason Tatum? Maybe. He might be. I don't know. But I'm just saying that initially, it's not it wouldn't be that much of a financial hit.
Yeah.
Because there would be so much money available to Cooper Flagg in endorsements, because the reality of college basketball, if you are playing at a place like Duke, is all of the exposure that you get.
You're a huge fish in a smaller pond.
Yes.
Stay the big fish for a while.
I've related this conversation I had with JJ Redick, and I had this with Redick. It was 2006. Duke was not in the Final Four, but he was there to accept the national award, and I was covering the Final Four. And I ended up having about a 45-minute one-on-one with Reddick. And one of the questions I asked him was, are you excited to kind of fade into the background when you go to the NBA? Because he was literally the face of college basketball for not 4 years, but for probably 3 years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now he was going to be a lottery pick or a late lottery, mid first round pick. And he was going to the NBA where he'd just be another guy. So he'd be out of the fishbowl. And not that Flagg, as the first overall pick, will be completely out of the fishbowl, because he won't, but it would be different. Because there's so many big stars in the NBA right now. Right now in college basketball, he's the star.
He is.
He's the needle.
Yeah.
So
everyone wins with him staying.
It would, yeah, except he delays the 1 year
delay.
to get to that contract. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. Number 1 overall seed could be in play for Duke. ACC outright. And this is, I think, just because they're wired. I think every game is a chance to prove themselves. And I'm going to throw one more thing in here. And I believe that they are here to collect all the trophies. I don't think they will look at the opportunity to win anything and be jaded by it doesn't matter. I think they're going to go out and try to win the ACC tournament. I know what people think. I don't believe it matters one way or another. If you win the ACC tournament, I don't think it hampers your ability to win the NCAA tournament. I don't. I absolutely don't. ACC championship is on a Saturday. Duke's first game in the NCAA tournament wouldn't be till Thursday or Friday. The truth of the matter is that Duke will play in prime time whenever that is. So we're talking about either Thursday night or Friday night. Plenty of time to recharge the batteries. Not worried about that at all. All right. The Carolina Hurricanes beat the Detroit Red Wings 2-1 last night.
Yeah, they did. It was fun to watch them last night.
Jordan Martinook and Jordan Stahl scored goals basically about 2.5 minutes apart in terms of game action. Martinook basically with a minute left in the first period. Stahl a minute and a half into the second period. And that was it. 10th time. By the way, my friend Gary Mabry, who does amazing stat work and just spits it out there. You can see it. I retweet it all the time because it is just the nitty-gritty stats that are fun. 10th time, not this year, 10th time that Martinook and Stahl have scored in the same game. Okay. The Hurricanes are 9-0-1 in games where they both score goals. 9-0-1.
Good odds.
Right, very good. The last 2 times this happened were postseason games. Last year against the Rangers, I don't know which game it was. The Hurricanes won games 4 and 5, so one of those 2. And the year before, during the playoffs against the Devils. That's the last time that those 2 guys scored in the same game before last night. This was the only time, however, where they were the only 2 goal scorers. All right, lots of positives to take from last night. There is also one negative to take from last night. We're going to get to that, but lots of positives to take from the game last night. They won a road game. Do you remember the last road game the Hurricanes won?
It's been a long time.
Yep. January, I think it was the 28th.
Okay.
Against the Rangers in New York. Now, we had the 2-week break for the Four Nations face-off, so that makes everything a little different. But the Hurricanes lost the first 2 games, or the last 2 road games before the break, and they lost the first 2 road games coming out of the break. So good for them to get a win on the road. Hey, we can do this. So very good. For the 4th time in a row coming out of the break, or not coming out of the break, for the 4th game in a row, they were really good defensively. It looked like Hurricanes hockey. Even the Edmonton game, which they lost, I talked about this last night on the podcast, Canes Corner Podcast, live after every Hurricanes game, available on YouTube. Just search Canes Corner. The Hurricanes, even in the loss to Edmonton, they played very well defensively. They limited the chances for Draisaitl and McDavid to almost nothing. So really good for defensively for them. And they completely choked Detroit's scoring chances down to almost nothing. In the last 2 games, also, Pyotr Kochetkov and Frederik Andersen have been good. Not a lot of action for either, but they were also very good when they had to be. Kochetkov allowed just 1 goal and was great in the second period. Andersen allowed just the 1 goal and was really good in the first period and also at times in the second period when needed. Detroit's power play was 0 for 2. It was actually 0 for 3, but really effectively 0 for 2 because one of the power plays was for like 6 seconds. So good. Jacob Slavin was great. Thought it was a really good game for Jalen Chatfield. There were no obvious, what are you doing that for?
Except Svesh, he just kept getting those penalties.
Yeah.
I was like, buddy.
That's very Andre.
Yes, it's very Andre.
But at the same time, I thought Andre played well.
He did.
So I'm not like
comes with the territory.
Yeah, hated those, but what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger.
Yes.
They hounded the puck. They got to their game. They looked like the Hurricanes. Here's Rod Brindamore on the factors that led to the wins.
Well, yeah, we're playing really well away from the puck, I think, and limiting the chances against and playing a lot of zone time. It'd be nice to finish some of these chances, but hopefully that'll come. But like I said, top to bottom, I thought it was pretty solid.
All right, now he said it, because here's the but. Once again, there were more goals in that game. Carolina needed to score more than 2. It's good that they were so good defensively and didn't allow a lot of chances and got good goaltending when they needed it, because they only scored 2 goals from all of the time they had the puck. They had about a 4-minute shift in Detroit zone where Detroit had 2 players that were stuck on the ice literally for 4.5 minutes.
Yeah.
And not only didn't the Hurricanes score, I don't think they really made Alex Lyon make a good save. So they have to figure out, how do we transfer all of that effort and possession into bona fide scoring chances, because there were missed opportunities last night.
It was frustrating.
Taylor Hall played a great game, didn't score a goal, should have scored a goal. Jackson Blake should have scored last night. Seth Jarvis should have scored. Mikko Rantanen should have scored. 2 goals. Got to be more. The same thing happened with Calgary. Should have been more than the 2 goals, and actually 1 in regulation.
Well, that long time on the ice got the fans out of the arena, though. That's for sure.
Yeah. It also made for a quick game, by the way.
I know.
We were done.
Yeah.
Like the post-game show. No joke. The post-game show was over at like 5 after 10.
Yeah. Oh. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's early.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You had sleep, maybe, sort of.
No, stop it. All right, we got a break here. When we come back, we are going to talk more Hurricanes and more Tar Heels and more ACC basketball and state plays tonight. But based on the settlement between the ACC, Florida State, and Clemson, some would say capitulation. David McKenzie, I mentioned him yesterday, intellectual property attorney, will join us to weigh in on what he thinks of the ACC's decision to settle that lawsuit next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. We're in the offseason, but that doesn't mean me and my co-host, WRAL TV's Chris Lee, take a break from our podcast, Panthers Playbook. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Panthers news as the NFL draft approaches, insight on free agents and prospects, plus all the insider info on who the Panthers want to pick at number 8. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, The average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Jackson Hewitt wants you to save money on tax prep. We're saving money by having our intern rap in this commercial.
Don't stress, Jackson Hewitt's got expert tax prep, 149 or less. Yo, some tax guys lie about price. They got hidden fees, that ain't nice. Ain't nice. Don't ignore MC Kevin's rhyme, cause this deal's for a limited time. 149.
For tax prep that's $149 or less, hurry into Jackson Hewitt today.
No cap.
Limited time offer for new clients on federal returns. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com/149.
Which of us, detective, do you suspect is the millionaire?
The evidence is everywhere. Your diamond necklace, Monty's new yacht, and the butler's new convertible. Admit it, you're all Maximilian scratch-off winners.
Of course we are. With 25 prizes of $1 million, you could be too.
New Maximilian from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 2.95. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
Ooh, with the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
Time is running out, folks. I need you to go to caniacsbike.com. Dennis Cox here for the Law Tigers. The Carolina Hurricanes, the Law Tigers, Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, and Shiny Side Paint are all teaming up once again to give one lucky fan a custom Caniacs motorcycle. Simple to enter. Go to caniacsbike.com. Sign-ups last until April 6th. The bike will be given away on the final home game of the season. caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Gold. Gold.
So I was reading an article about the 10 oddest Guinness World Records, and the thing that caught my eye was most skips by a cat in 1 minute. This woman has a jump rope and is skipping with her cat. Okay, I have got a cat, and let me just tell you, the skipping alone would cause this, but swinging a jump rope anywhere near my sweet kitty Carol, she'd be gone for like 5 days.
The Adam Gold Show.
Now I can hear myself. Excellent. I don't know what's going on.
Bump song number one of Stormy Days.
I think we've got it. Welcome to the Adam Gold Show. If you are just tuning in, yesterday the Atlantic Coast Conference capitulated. I don't know how we're going to talk about this. They settled with Clemson and Florida State. The way I read it, the grant of rights held, but I think the ACC just wanted all of these things to go away, all the lawsuits that weren't going to go away to go away. They wanted everybody to sit around the campfire and sing Kumbaya. I don't know. But they did decide to settle with Clemson and Florida State, which might be a win for others. David McKenzie is an intellectual property attorney, happens to be in Austin, Texas right now, one of my favorite cities to visit. And he joins us on the Adam Gold Show. First of all, thank you very much for doing this. I don't know if you're on vacation or it's a working vacation, but Austin is great. Let me get your reaction first to the settlement.
Well, I think you used the word capitulation, Adam. That would be, I think, entirely accurate. It was complete capitulation to Florida State University, Clemson, and I would argue the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I think that Carolina is easily the biggest winner out of yesterday's deal. I don't think, one point I would disagree with you, Adam, is that I don't think the grant of rights really survived. The grant of rights in so many ways was weakened by yesterday's settlement. Now, I do need to disclose that I haven't seen this deal, and until I do see this deal, I won't know for sure that these opinions that I'm offering are entirely accurate. But, the grant of rights was reduced in terms of its length. And the entire time, the thing that held the ACC together was the grant of rights. Now, there was kind of two components that I've been trying to explain that Florida State was litigating. One was the exit fee, and the other was the grant of rights. The exit fee, in my view, was never really an issue. That amounted to like 3 times the operating revenues of the ACC, which was about $150 million.
Right.
But what Florida State did, and they were excellent at it, was basically amalgamating the value of the grant of rights agreement or the media rights under the grant of rights agreements with the exit fee. So the value of the grant of rights agreements, if you think about their media rights, all you have to do is look, what is the ACC paying out on an annual basis? I think it's something like $50 million a year.
Close.
So there's 11 years left on the grant of rights agreement. So that's $550 million plus the exit fee of roughly $125 million. So you're getting close to $700 million, which is the figure Florida State has been using. Now, they're looking at sort of a graded scale on the exit fee that is now also the value of the grant of rights agreement. So all of that, they've been successful in consolidating into one. And as we saw yesterday, in 2030, it will be basically a sweetheart deal of $75 million to leave. And I would expect that at that time, several schools will do that.
David McKenzie is joining us here, intellectual property attorney. All right, so does this deal, and again, you haven't seen the parameters, but at least my reading of it says that the league stays together until at least 2030. At 2030, Florida State and Clemson could essentially buy their way out, or anybody could buy their way out for, I think it's $75 million, and that also includes the grant. Like that's $75 million you can walk in 2030. Doesn't it?
With your media rights.
With your media rights. Does it bind everybody there until then?
Yes, it does. But well, yes and no is actually the answer. It probably does bind everybody until there, because the fees that we're talking about still, that I understand are being reported, is that they can still get out. It's a little unclear to me if the value of the exit fee is today, say $150 million, is that under the deal, would Florida State or Clemson want to pay that and take their media rights with them? Why would they want to wait, 5 years? Could be, problematic, especially if they have invitations to join other leagues that are paying astronomically more. So the issue before was always, you can leave at any time. Florida State could leave at any time. Carolina could leave at any time. You just can't leave with your media rights with you.
Right.
And pay the exit fee, but you're not going to, the media rights still belong to the ACC. It's unclear to me now if prior to 2030 that is still the case. It does appear that the revised settlement agreement, or it would have to be a revision also to the grant of rights agreement and then also to the ACC Constitution. But I do think that, at least from published reports from very reputable journalists like David Hale, you're seeing, that it's all one. It's all one. You get to leave with the exit fee, and you get to leave with the media rights. And so that's why this was such an incredible victory for schools named Miami, Florida State, Clemson. And you got to give it to the Tar Heels. They look absolutely genius today because, I've been saying it all day. Bubba Cunningham looks like a friggin' genius. And
you use different language, by the way, on your Twitter bio. on your on your pinned tweet. You use different language than frickin'. David McKenzie is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Can as an attorney, if you were, why would the ACC do this? Why would the ACC go so far to bend over? Do you think because I know you believe that the grant of rights would have held in court, right? And I mean, everybody I have spoken to said, yeah, that's going to hold. So why did the ACC give in here, you think?
Well, somebody is going to start having to leak to smart journalists like Brenden Marks, yourself, and get to what really was the reason, because I don't think it had anything to do with the law. I mean, things were, at least in North Carolina, were trending actually pretty well for the ACC.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say, in fairness, things were not trending perfectly for the ACC down in Florida, because it did appear that the trial court was buying this very novel sovereign immunity defense to a contract.
Right.
And so that was, and there was summary judgment motions teed up. But I mean, I think it's important for your listeners to understand that, I mean, they were in the second round of a 12-round fight at best. Right. I mean, I filed a case in 2015 that is still going on. So when you have these kind of high stakes litigation, you really do have to have a kind of intestinal fortitude to keep going. And especially when you have the law on your side. I have said repeatedly, and I still believe that the ACC had the law on their side, to use sovereign immunity as a contract defense to a higher education school would undermine so much about commercial transactions. And I would also argue that when you have a school like Florida State that comes into the state of North Carolina and benefits to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars and is engaged in interstate commerce, it has waived sovereign immunity. So in terms of why did they, to your principal question, why did they end it so soon? Who knows? I don't think it had anything to do with the law. It'd be interesting to see what really comes out and as an understanding.
Because you're also a fan. So let me just pose this to you, and then we could work through it. I don't know if there's a legal or sensible way for you to even answer this. Is it simply better? Because I'm sure you have advised clients, like, it's probably in your best interest to settle this, to eliminate the conversation about two of your highest profile schools suing the league, hostile members, how that impacts the way the league is talked about, how that impacts recruiting, performance, and just to have these lawsuits settled in exchange for 6 years of peace, where everybody can go about the business of winning, and then in 6 years, whatever happens, happens. Is there a benefit to that?
I mean, of course, in law practice management and client relations, there are times when you do advise a client that no matter how much the law is on your side or whatever, that the client just doesn't want to go on. And I do have some empathy for Jim Phillips. I looked at the ACC Constitution today. He had, and it may have changed since Stanford and Canales came on to the scene, but he had to get a 2/3 vote of the 18 members of the Atlantic Coast Conference to do this, a 2/3 vote. And that had to have been like herding cats in terms of client management, because really, so 2/3, you're looking at 12 votes. And I'm sure that those that are in the bottom tier of, and let's be honest, I'm talking about Syracuse, BC.
Right.
Love you guys up there, but they cannot be happy with this deal. And I'll correct you, it's 5 years, not 6, and it does begin even this year. So, and it's also interesting that we have this new, this goes to the law, that we have this new model based on viewership, because, one of the strengths of any kind of league, especially it seems like the NFL, is an egalitarian business model when it comes to distribution of media rights. And under this new model, there's no reason why, I'm sitting here in Texas and I'm thinking, there's no reason why the Dallas Cowboys, which is probably the most watched NFL team in history,
right,
and should be demanding more money based on the number of viewers. But, Dallas, you're not going to always be able to have a Dallas Cowboys, Los Angeles Rams type of marquee matchup. Every once in a while, they're going to have to go play our crappy Carolina Panthers, right?
Wow. Panthers catching strays here. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, we'll be relegated to a tier 4 game, on those kind of things. So it's an interesting model in terms of how they've sort of chopped it out. But man, all props out to the University of North Carolina for its success in this. It has been able to allow Clemson and Florida State to pay its legal fees, at least in part. We know that they're paying other legal fees that we won't get into, but so that's what I think on the whole new revenue distribution.
David McKenzie, intellectual property attorney. I appreciate your time at McKenzie Law on Twitter. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Although you're leaving Austin, we don't need to know where you're going because it's probably someplace.
Pebble Beach. I'm going to play Pebble Beach.
You're just rubbing it in. Now that not only are the Panthers catching strays, but I feel like I just caught one. Thank you much for your time, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Glad to be with you, Adam. Thanks for having me.
You got it. David McKenzie here on the Adam Gold Show. Why did he have to say that? Why did he have to tell me he was going to Pebble Beach? I mean, now I'm super jealous. All right, we have one-timers coming up on the other side. I guess it is very. I mean, it all depends on how you look at this. And David Hale, by the way, has a great thread of it's basically a frequently asked questions thread. So he poses all the questions that you might have regarding this settlement. And it's obviously, it was not a great deal, I don't believe, for the Atlantic Coast Conference, which is why I said yesterday, the day before when it was announced, time of death, July 1, 2030. And by the way, I think it is 6 years because this year counts. 25, we're talking about football seasons here, and it goes through the 2030 football season. So it's six football seasons that we're going to have, and theoretically we'll have the league stay together for 6 years. I mean, anything can happen. And I also think the league, and Jim Phillips is in some ways making a bet that in 6 years, it ain't going to look like this. So this might be completely moot by the time we get to 2030. Anyway, I think that's probably the bigger likelihood anyway. But if you want to go to David Hale's Twitter, his thread on, if you have questions about what this really means, I think it kind of goes through a lot of the different little tentacles of this deal. All right, when we come back, one-timers, questions and answers about anything. Plus, if you go to youtube.com/Adam Gold Show, you can even pop a question in the chat. How about that? Next.
From the heels,
touchdown, Carolina,
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we are exiting the shortest month of the year for March. And you know what that means. College basketball. And right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's right, $150 of their money to use as you see fit. As long as you win your first $5 bet, time for you new customers to join in. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Get in on all the college hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel, 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Did you know? Along with keeping their local communities powered, public power line workers are part of a mutual aid network spanning the state and country. Public power crews help their neighbors when natural disasters damage electric systems. And that mutual aid network is one of the reasons public power has the highest reliability rating among energy providers, forming a camaraderie among line workers that's second to none. Interested in joining public power? Learn more about careers at electricities.com.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
Dear North Carolina, for 70 incredible years, you've been by our side. From Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood to the wonders of Antiques Roadshow, from This Old House to NC Weekend, we've explored, learned, and grown together. Because of your support, PBS North Carolina has gone beyond the screen, inspiring, educating, and entertaining in classrooms, at home, and on the go. Celebrate with us when you watch new programming on PBS NC or stream anytime on the free PBS app. Learn more about PBS North Carolina at pbsnc.org.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college, whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans. It all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
This is Adam Gold.
Frankly, I'm not sure that there is a sport that we could theoretically even put in the Olympics that isn't. I said bowling. Yeah, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Croquet? Lawn darts?
I'm waiting for cornhole.
Oh, there's somebody that thinks, yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos.
I think it started to rain. Looks raining.
Well, it was raining on my drive down the hill, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be good this afternoon after this whole thing moves out, but again, we had the tornado warning, which has expired about 5 minutes ago. So wherever you are in the state, please be careful. All right, let's get to one-timers.
Okay, so kicking this off, one from yesterday came in a little bit later after one-timers, but it is from Chief Wolf, and he wants
Chief Wolf?
Yes, he wants to know your thoughts on Keith's job security.
Look, I think he's fine. I don't think that NC State right now is interested in making a change in coaching, but I said this now about 3 weeks ago. In my opinion, NC State has to do one of two things. They have to either legitimately support the basketball program financially, and I know people think they are, but not really. Not to the extent that other schools in this league are. Or they need to move on. Because this is what, 8 years? 7, I don't think it escapes me. Last year was a miracle. Flat out.
Yep.
What happened last year, holy mackerel, incredible ride. Everybody had a good time. I don't know, maybe it was the teams not playing to their potential, but a team that hadn't quite done well enough during the course of the year. it kind of, water found its level, so they exceeded expectations. Bottom line is they weren't going to the NCAA tournament until they won the ACC tournament, and in and of itself, that was a miracle run. If they don't make the NCAA tournament last year, does this year end Kevin Keatts? I would argue that it would have. Mm-hmm. That Final Four run bought Keatts, because I think what it did is prove that he could coach. I mean, he can coach. I think he's a very good coach, but what they haven't done well yet is really build out a really good roster. Although last year's roster was good.
Mm-hmm.
Burns, for much of the year, DJ Burns was more of a negative than a positive. And I'm not saying that in a personal way. In terms of his play, it was not great for much of the year. Now, he got on a heater late, but as State started playing well, Mo Diarra was really developing into a good player, and Michael O'Connell had a good year, and you had DJ Horn. They had a lot of other pieces, and then DJ Burns helped take them to another place. But I would argue that if they don't pull that off last year, then this year probably would have ended it. I don't think they're going to move. I don't think they're moving on from Kevin Keatts, but I think they should do better by Kevin Keatts.
Yeah, for sure. Well, moving on to another one from our YouTube stream. Feel free if you'd like to add to it, but this one is from Justin. He said, "You made a comment in the aftermath last night about Rantanen shooting first. Is that a coaching thing or getting into Rantanen's head?"
No, it's a players at this point when things are not going swimmingly offensively. You're trying to be perfect. You're trying to make the goal easier. And I think Carolina needs to go the other way. I think Carolina needs to pump shots on shots on shots on shots at net and go get it. Be gritty. Once those things start happening, once you start seeing the puck go in, I think it makes a lot of things easier. And I thought there were a couple of times I've pointed out specifics, but I think there are a couple of times where Rantanen should have shot and passed. And I think he is not alone. I think the Hurricanes have too many players right now who are looking to make the extra pass rather than shoot it. But, I thought they were good last night. Carolina should be pretty happy with that win.
Okay, last but not least, a quick one follow-up from him. It seemed like Orlov, in their opinion, was on the ice whenever a goal was scored. Could there be any way of moving him before the trade deadline?
I don't think anybody really wants Dmitry Orlov at this point. I thought Dmitry was okay last night, and that's kind of a step up of late.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, and we are already in March. Conference tournaments are underway. How about this? The West Coast Conference Tournament, which has been a playground for Gonzaga over the years, they're still the favorite, but I kind of like St. Mary's to win the West Coast Conference Tournament, and they are plus money at plus 150. Maybe that's where you go. Madness is here. March is upon us. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. $150 in bonus bets for new customers. If you win your first $5 wager, good luck. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
If Heineken Silver was a 60-second radio ad, it'd tell you all the stuff you need to know in only 30 seconds to keep things light and refreshing. Seriously, time me. Heineken Silver, a world-class light beer that's surprisingly crisp and refreshing. Made with only premium quality ingredients and just 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All without compromising on taste. Heineken Silver. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly. Whew. 30 seconds. That's it. Done. Peace.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hey, what do you say? John Forsland here from my friends at Buffalo Brothers. It's hockey season, baby. I live and work on both coasts, and here's the deal. There's nothing like Buffalo Brothers. The best wings on the planet and a great place to watch all the big games. Visit all 5 Triangle locations for great specials, including half-price pizzas Monday through Friday, 4:30 to 6, and $6 Jamesons on Sunday. Dine in, carry out. BuffBrothers.com. Aw, man, now I want wings.
What is dedication? I think a parent's job is to protect our children, but also prepare them for the world so they become good, kind human beings.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov.
From Carolina winters to our very sunny summers, as America's exterior remodeler, Window World is here to keep families across the Triangle comfortable year-round. If you need new windows, siding, doors, and more, look no further than your locally owned Window World, the Triangle's most trusted and America's largest exterior remodeler. A proud sponsor of the Canes, Window World will get your home looking great on the outside while saving on energy costs inside. Get in touch with them today and request a free quote. Window World of Raleigh and Fayetteville. Improving homes, changing lives.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Hammond had his pass tipped away. Peels quickly the other way. Ian Jackson angles his body, can't finish, but Lubin dunks it over a couple of Hokies in transition. 5 seconds to go in the half. Lubin to Trimble, he's gonna hammer it home with a second to go. There's the horn as Carolina emphatically ends the first half.
It is the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Thank you for spending some time with us. On a Wednesday, storms in the area. Please be careful.
I think the gremlins are out of the system now, so we're good.
Yeah, you say that, but
I know.
They'll be back.
They always
will be back.
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of things I want to get to. Chip Patterson will join us in about 15 minutes. We'll get his take on what happened with the ACC, Clemson, and Florida State. And we'll also talk some quarterbacks. Because why not? Quarterbacks are big, and we'll get to some basketball, and who knows what else. It's always fun talking with Chip Patterson every Wednesday.
Or quarterbacks are small if you're Bryce Young.
Yeah, they can be. And who else? Dylan Gabriel from Oregon, who spent a good chunk of his time at the Combine in Indianapolis, saying, I've been small my whole life.
Yeah.
Find the lie.
It's a thing.
I mean, yeah, very few quarterbacks shrink.
No.
Right? Bryce Young was not 6'3" in high school and now is 5'10".
Right.
That did not happen.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is not a thing for him.
He has been 5'10" for a good chunk of his life. Probably not all of it, but a good chunk of it. Good win for the Hurricanes last night, by the way, over the Detroit Red Wings. Red Wings are good, although they have lost 3 in a row. And I was looking at the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference. And we haven't, not at one point now, 62 minutes into the program, we have not even broached the will the Hurricanes keep Mikko Rantanen?
I know.
And we'll talk about it later, whatever. And I said this yesterday. I do believe they will.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that there are arguments both ways, and I've tried to present as many angles of this conversation as possible, because, without getting too deep into it, the Hurricanes need to determine two things. One, are they true contenders in the to win the Stanley Cup? And then, if the answer is yes, then it doesn't matter. You move on as is. But if the answer is, if they believe, I don't think so, encouraging signs with goaltending the last two games, encouraging signs with fewer defensive mistakes the last two games. So, again, these are just the last two games. You got to keep stacking this up, and tomorrow is the last game before the deadline. But if they decide that we aren't true contenders to win the Stanley Cup, and then they have to decide whether or not Mikko Rantanen is likely to re-sign. If the answer to the first is not a contender, and if the answer to the second is probably not, well, then I think it would be a wise move to see what you can get for him. And I think they're fielding calls, but I also think that they're only going to move Mikko Rantanen if somebody blows them away, which may happen. But again, I think the team, if they're playing well, they're going to feel like in this Eastern Conference, they got a shot. At the very least, they have a shot to win 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think they are more likely to keep Mikko Rantanen than even entertain anything. And so real quick about the playoff push, Washington is the top seed right now in the Eastern Conference. The Canes are 10 points behind the Capitals. Probably not catching the Capitals unless Washington completely collapses, and I don't anticipate that. Although Washington and the Rangers play tonight.
That'll be a good one.
Speaking of the Rangers, today, snapshot, they are the second wild card. Remember when we all left them for dead?
Exactly.
Not so dead. Mostly dead.
Sort of dead.
Like
Semi-dead.
they went to see Miracle Max. Never mind. Some people will get that. But so the Rangers right now are in wild card 2 position. I can't decide. Was Billy Crystal better than Carol Kane? Because she was Miracle Max's wife. Anyway, the Hurricanes are 4 points ahead of the Devils now, with a game in hand. Devils lost in Dallas last night. So a 4-point cushion plus a game in hand. You want to finish second, right? Second is important. We talked about this last year. Getting home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs, I think, is super important. All bets are off after that, on top of the fact that you'd have no idea who's going to win. Washington might lose in the first round of the playoffs, and then you've got home ice advantage in the second round too. So, but you got to have it, I think, in the first round, and the Hurricanes right now have a 4-point cushion on the Devils with a game in hand. But yes, the Rangers are now wild card 2, and I think this is fascinating. There are 4 teams separated by 1 point for the last wild card. The Rangers, the Red Wings, the Senators, and the Canadiens. 66 to 65 points total. There are 7 teams separated by 4 points for the final playoff spot. So it's going to be a free-for-all down the stretch. Absolute free-for-all down the stretch, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's get a second take on the news of the day. Tar Heels romped at Virginia Tech last night. You heard the play-by-play voice of Jones Angell there. And by the way, tomorrow, is it tomorrow? Tomorrow, I think Tyler Zeller is going to join us. I'm going to talk about how the team is playing and how the team matches up coming up on Saturday against Duke. Speaking of, I thought that UNC looked like Duke last night, and you should take that as a compliment. They shot the ball well from the field, shot the ball well from 3. They limited Virginia Tech from 3. And they shared the ball. 24 assists on 33 made field goals. That's awesome. They didn't do a particularly good job on the offensive glass, but there weren't a lot of offensive rebounds to go get because they shot better than 50%. I think they shot better than 55%. for the game. Now, Virginia Tech, no good. Bad team. In fact, in this 6-game winning streak for the Tar Heels, they have beaten exactly one top 100 team in the net. And that's Florida State, and they're around 90. So these 6 wins were, I keep using the analogy, but I'm going to use it again. They just ate 6 Twinkies. You get 0 nutritional value from a Twinkie. Nothing.
And you'll be hungry in 45 minutes.
Although you do get a sugar high.
Yes, yeah.
Which is exactly what their fans are getting based on 6 wins, who think that they have accomplished something. And the truth of the matter is all they're doing right now is treading water. So the opportunity presents itself against Duke on Saturday. As I've been saying all week, I wouldn't rule it out, but I wouldn't expect it. And we'll get to why in a second, but other than the obvious. But I think UNC could make the NCAA tournament without beating Duke. But you're going to have to win at least 2 games in the ACC tournament. And what you need really is to be the 6th seed so you can play 3 times before a potential rematch with Duke. And now back to Duke and why I think this game is such a problem for UNC tomorrow, Saturday. It's not that UNC isn't playing well, and they are playing their best basketball. Hubert Davis said it. It's that Duke has slipped into kill mode in that I believe that they are insatiable when it comes to their performance. And if they perform, the production will be there. So I think I can see North Carolina keeping this game close for a while. I think Duke is relentless at this point. And I think Duke is playing to a standard, and they want to win everything, which means Saturday matters to them. Apart from it being the rivalry, Saturday matters to them. I think the ACC tournament will matter to them. Now, if they lose, they'll be mad, but obviously you get a reprieve because you get to the NCAA tournament. But I think that being the number 1 overall seed, whether that you don't get a trophy for that, but it's another accomplishment. And I think this team is about collecting as many accomplishments as possible, and I think they want to win everything. I think that's the way they're wired. And so I think Saturday matters, and I think next week in Charlotte matters, and obviously the NCAA tournament matters. So, and I think if Duke plays with that attitude, I don't see him losing. Not to UNC. I want UNC to be in the NCAA tournament. I do. And I do. That's why I keep saying I think there's a path forward for them without ever beating Duke. But you better win all the other games.
Yeah.
And remains to be seen.
Duke may not cover the whatever crazy spread it is right now, but
I haven't seen it yet.
I have no idea.
My guess is it's going to be somewhere where it was in Durham, which was 13.5.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah,
they'll cover that.
Yeah,
I think. Anyway, when we come back, Chip Patterson is going to join us. Maybe he'll run through the Chipolytics. He's got Chipolytics. We'll talk about the deal signed by the ACC and member institutions to settle the lawsuits. We'll talk about quarterbacks, and we'll talk Chipolytics with Chip next.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen for the...
Oh, my goodness!
Check in for the...
Beautiful back cut and a 2-hand jam.
Don't miss the...
Race to the other end. Get ready for the show!
What was that?
A reverse pull-up! My goodness! Hubbard got hit, and he made the shot!
You're home for the Final Four from San Antonio.
Cooper got it to rattle home!
99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
And
At Diamonds Direct, our experts go the extra mile to ensure you have the tools to say I do with absolute confidence. Our promise to you is a completely risk-free shopping experience rooted in transparency, education, and integrity. No pressure, no intimidation, just clarity and confidence in your purchase. But we're about more than just price. Everything is backed by our exclusive guarantees. Put our tools to the test against any competitor, and our expert staff will ensure you get the very best overall value and unforgettable experience. Learn more at DiamondsDirect.com. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
Which of us, detective, do you suspect is the millionaire?
The evidence is everywhere. Your diamond necklace, Monty's new yacht, and the butler's new convertible. Admit it, you're all Maximilian scratch-off winners.
Of course we are. With 25 prizes of $1 million, you could be too.
New Maximilian from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 2.95. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Fargo, your virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can in the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Fargo is only available on the smartphone versions of the Wells Fargo mobile app. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at $119 and take $20 off your air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com and say you want the $99.9 The Fan special.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
Ooh, with the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase.
I just paid hundreds for this flight and you can't even throw in internet? I'll just take the free pretzels.
Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale.
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Gold. Gold.
Some of the best trades ever made are the ones you don't make. Again, I'm sure that there are tons of stories like that.
Kind of like a relationship. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that you didn't go out with. Like that person that you tried to, and then you see them 10 years later and you're like, ooh, dodged a bullet.
So you sound like you've been there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. Hope all is well and battened down wherever you are, maybe braving out a storm. Hope all is well. It is Wednesday. We are a couple of days removed from the announcement that the Atlantic Coast Conference bent over backwards to appease Florida State and Clemson. Maybe more than that. I don't know. I know I listened to part of the Cover 3 podcast yesterday. Actually, it might have been Monday. It was Monday when Chip and the boys were talking about it. And here is Chip Patterson, Cover 3 podcast moderator, CBSSports.com. My friend, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you for listening. We did, well, as we said when we were given the context real time, news came out 10 minutes before the show started. So we wanted to address it, but we certainly did not have enough time to gather as much information, including, what the schools were told, right? Like what Florida State's university leadership was told so that they could approve the settlement of the lawsuit, what the ACC schools were told so that they could approve the settlement of the lawsuit, moving forward with new revenue distribution deals and sort of just a whole new financial reality. So, I appreciate you listening. We came back to it today as well.
What I'm sorry I missed today. What is the overall takeaway from that? I mean, I joked, not really joked, but I put this on Twitter and Blue Sky. That time of death, July 1, 2030. How inaccurate is that?
Oh, I think that there could be, I think there could be a situation where Florida State decides it's still in the ACC in 2030 or 2031, or 2032
if they don't have anywhere better to go.
Right. I mean, you know what this was? I think this is very relatable. I think that people in companies and businesses and workplaces all across this great state, unprecedented statewide platform and the like, they've all been in a meeting where you've got really, really hard problems. And then someone does the professional move is called kick the can down the road. And, maybe somebody says, put a pin in it. Yeah. Maybe, Adam, maybe someone says, let's circle back to this one next month. And everybody at the table is like, oh, thank God, because I did not want to solve these problems. And what I think has happened here is that a lot of these university presidents and athletic directors are like, I'm not going to be in this position in 2031.
Sure.
I don't want to have my professional reputation be that I was the cause of this. No, let's put a pin in that. Let's circle back into that. Let's just kick the can down the road. We'll figure that out. I mean, and look, I don't know. I don't know what Jim Phillips, how he views, his tenure, right?
Well, they're putting a brave face on it. That's for sure.
I mean, well, he, when he had the quote that you brought up last week about, we have to be guardians of the game and stewards of the people who came before us and will come after us. I'm paraphrasing there. I almost thought that was I just want to make sure that I just pass it on to the next person and let them break it. Yep. I see from Florida State, from Clemson, from the ACC, so much uncertainty all around them. And that extends even beyond, paying players, the house settlement, employment, any other kind of ways that college sports becomes more professionalized. How about higher education? How about state-funded universities that are now like, and starting to feel a little bit nervous about what their financial reality is going to be?
Yes.
This is
that's a real life conversation with the funding that has been pulled from especially medical research. Holy mackerel. There are a lot of major universities staring at it, right?
The idea that everyone involved, Florida State, Clemson, ACC schools, the ACC as a whole, could just kick it down the road and have some cost certainty that they can make budgets on, I think was just a huge relief, and that's what we got here with this settlement.
And it does look like that we have a 6-year reprieve, right?
Right.
That at least through the 2030 football season. And after that, $75 million, you go. You can go wherever you want.
Sure.
And you get everything you need. You get all your rights and everything for a $75 million exit fee. Our friend David Hale actually put a pretty good primer on Twitter today that even for the existing schools, if 4 schools were to leave, July
300 mil split,
12
14 ways.
Yeah, whatever. I can't do the math. There's too many teams in the league. And maybe, I think you and I have talked about this, maybe the ACC can say, you know what, we're going to scrap the equitable schedule distribution, and we're just going to make the best possible football schedule we can every year so we can, drive TV ratings up, which, of course, I don't know if how many schools at the bottom of the league will approve of that. But
drive any like what's a 0.1 to a 0.2?
That's a good point. Never mind. Never. So who are the winners here? I don't know. I think the ACC wins because this talk about two schools, suing the league is done because that lawsuit's over now. But who the winners? North Carolina's a winner. Miami may be a winner. Obviously, Clemson and Florida State win to an extent, but are there other winners here?
I think that Florida State wins even more than you might imagine if you look at it from the viewpoint that what they ended up getting, if they get everything pulled together and are not 2-10, the first ever 17th place team in the ACC standings. Congratulations, hang a banner. I think that Florida State got more than what they pitched.
They did.
Because remember, this was like 2 years ago.
Yep.
They started to bring up the idea of revenue distribution, essentially based on television ratings. Now they are getting, even more on top of that. So
plus performance if they perform.
Right, but with the exit fee dropped as well, thrown onto it, I think Florida State's a big winner in the sense that they got even more, which might, if I was to be a little bit reckless here, might tell you either how uncomfortable the ACC had gotten with just dealing with this, or its legal position, at least in terms of where things were going to be. Yeah. Where was this going to be decided? Because
I think it was the former, not the latter. I think their legal position was good.
Okay.
I think they didn't believe. I thought they were probably afraid of what the state of Florida would say first.
That's
having to deal with all the appeals.
Right.
And I think it was probably they looked at the mounting legal bills, knowing that all the schools had to come up with that money too. And I think they didn't like the conversation around it. And I think they decided, you know what, even if it cost us some money, it's better to just shut down the conversation. But I thought to me, the grant of rights was holding. It might not have held in Florida, but
hey, Adam, cancel culture is back. I have canceled the word ironclad, okay, or the phrase ironclad.
Right.
If you don't want to hyphenate it like it properly should be done,
it should be hyphenated.
Ironclad is canceled. We're not using the term ironclad anymore about anything. Okay. We can have things be clad, and we can have a lot of iron. It's good for your diet, but we are not doing ironclad anymore. It is another part of the conversation that was brought up today. If most of these grant of rights are probably written pretty similarly, there could be some industry-wide implications if this thing was to be tested. If you want to look at all the different parties that were somewhat tied to this, there could have been some motivations to not roll the dice on a Leon County judge and their opinion on the issue.
Yeah, and but they would have appealed that all the way up to wherever.
But just it would have had some reverberations.
Sure.
A lot of.
I think they wanted to stop it. I think they just you know what, it ain't worth it to just keep dragging this thing along. Let me just get to some football, and then we're gonna see if the Chipolytics can spit out anything for Duke UNC on Saturday. But let me just get to football. I know your pal Tom Fornelli, who always wears a San Francisco Giants hat, and I'm okay with that. During your Cover 3 podcast,
I can just real quick story. You can relate to this as somebody who got off that narcotic with the New York Jets.
Yes, I did.
The Chicago White Sox just did him in.
Oh, they should.
Yeah, right. And so that's when he was like, I'm a free agent. And he spent an entire baseball season looking like many of us go into European soccer, just looking for the club that calls you.
Yeah.
And the Giants were the team that called him.
Good for him. I think the Giants are a wonderful franchise. I'd be a fan too. I am affiliated in Major League Baseball. Let's go Mets. So the quarterback rankings he's got Arch Manning 1. Mm-hmm. He has Cade Klubnik 2.
Yep.
Okay. Is that where quarterbacking is?
That's not. Cade Klubnik was one of the 5 to 6. Had one of the 5 to 6 best sort of stat profiles among quarterbacks in college football this past year.
Okay.
Now they were beaten up on some ACC defenses. So if you want to If you want to take Cam Ward and Cade Klubnik's production and, try to grade them on a curve, I understand. They really filled it up in some beatdowns, both of them.
Yeah.
But I think Cade Klubnik got so much better throughout the season that watching him run that Clemson offense and watching those young wide receivers emerge, those two things happened at the same time. And going into next year, I definitely think Cade Klubnik is on your 5 names you would throw into a Heisman conversation to start in July.
Okay. And he's got, we'll get back to that. I'll circle back to that. Carson Beck is third. Of course, he still has Carson Beck with Georgia. Is Carson Beck with Miami also third? The piece has Carson Beck with Georgia. So
I would not put Carson Beck there. I think that Carson Beck in performance was questionable when things were not set up for him.
Correct.
Tate
and
Ratledge,
he's coming off the injury.
Yeah, Andy's coming off the injury. Yeah, Tate Ratledge is an excellent interior offensive lineman that some NFL team is going to be thrilled to have. When he was out of the lineup around the middle of Georgia's schedule, Carson Beck had a run where it was something along the lines of 8 touchdowns to 12 interceptions across 5 games. And so that's one thing where I would be looking elsewhere. I would be looking elsewhere before I get to Carson Beck in my own quarterback power rankings.
What about Kevin Jennings at SMU, who, to me, watching him on the big stage, boy, the first quarters were a problem for him. It was like, let me see how I can screw this up before I try to fix it. That has to get out of his game, no?
Yeah. I'm curious because Rhett Lashley is a really, really good offensive coach.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there is something, and I look forward to asking him a little bit later on in the offseason, maybe in July, but a little bit of that is you don't want to coach out of Kevin some of the things that also make him really, really special and dynamic. Sure. And so you're probably not wrong. I'm sure he's looking to improve always, but I would not like for example, I would not take Kevin Jennings ahead of Florida's DJ Lagway. I would not take Kevin Jennings, even though he had a very subpar mid-tier kind of season. I would not take Kevin Jennings over Nico Iamaleava just because I think that there's a high ceiling for when everything starts to come together. I wouldn't take Kevin Jennings over LSU's Garrett Nussmeier. That's just off the top of Drew Aller from Penn State.
Yeah, I was surprised that Garrett Nussmeier is still playing quarterback in college. I thought Garrett hasn't he been around 8 years?
No, he's not been around
I thought he was the quarterback before Joe Burrow at LSU.
What he was real threat to Jaden Daniels.
Right.
That Nuss was setting the bar that Jaden Daniels had to beat him out for the job when Jaden Daniels first made the transfer from Arizona State. And look, offensive rookie of the year in the immediate rear view, it's going to be hard to convince someone that when Jaden Daniels left Arizona State, not everybody was sold that this was going to be a hit.
Right.
No, not everybody was sold. I mean, he wins the Heisman Trophy, offensive rookie of the year. We're all proven wrong, but it was very much a okay, there's a lot of talent there. He played as a freshman, was a little bit up, a little bit down. Let's see how it goes. And credit to Jaden Daniels. He beat out Nussmeier there in that first year and then just ran with it. Rest is history.
All right. Is any quarterback in the ACC that you think might be able to take a step and emerge into a top 10 national quarterback? We had a lot of quarterbacks in the league last year I think a lot of people liked.
So Haynes King is still there. Haynes King can stay healthy and drag all of his broken bones across the goal line 15 times.
What a fun college quarterback.
Yes, Haynes King is an awesome college quarterback when things are going. I would not discount him. Okay. I don't have high expectations for Thomas Castellanos at Florida State, even with Gus Malzahn as the offensive coordinator. Yes, that was an entire sentence that I'm sure a lot of ACC fans hadn't really thought about. The idea that BC's Thomas Castellanos is the new QB at FSU, where Gus Malzahn, of all people, is the OC.
I got to take a knee.
It's a scene there in Tallahassee around that football program.
I bet.
I'm here in Raleigh. Like I don't think that CJ Bailey will be a top 10 national quarterback, but your question was like, who could take a step, right? Like Thomas Castellanos, for example, is Thomas Castellanos. Like
right.
we've seen it good. We've seen the bad. We understand who he is. He can be just fine as Florida State's quarterback if they put enough around him and they can accomplish some of their goals. CJ Bailey, he could be he could have a really good season. So that would be one that I think of in terms of a player.
That would be awesome.
Who could take a step, make a jump. I mean, I'm not expecting it out of like Eli Holstein at Pitt. No, Eli Holstein is Eli Holstein. We saw it 7-0 start. We saw a 0-5 finish. It's just kind of
what we need is somebody named Holstein to be a running back that you just keep handing the ball to, so we can call him a bell cow. So we can call him a bell cow. All right, never mind. Let's move on. All right. Do you have any early Chipolytics on Duke at UNC? I'm guessing that the spread will be somewhere in, probably in the neighborhood of what it was at Cameron, which I thought was too low. It was 13.5. But I think that's probably where you'd have to set it. And I don't know if you can set it high enough that Duke won't cruise past it.
You're looking at this all wrong, and I understand. In the modern betting environment, there's so many different ways to bet on a game, and you're always going to be locked into the competition between the two teams with the point spread involved. But there's a little bit of an ATM machine that's just right under our nose. And actually, there's two ATM machines because they involve both the Duke men's basketball team, the North Carolina men's basketball team, and the over. Because what's happened is that both of these teams are scoring 90 on their own. And look, especially the great examples is the way that Florida State played against both those teams. If the opponent decides that they're going to run too, that's fine. North Carolina Duke is still winning games by 20 points, but the other team is still getting out to 70. And so, yes, that's the Chipolytics say that when that number gets posted, I don't know what number would scare me because
in terms of the total.
Yeah, in terms of the total,
yeah.
That would be the biggest shock of them all. If it's a super low scoring game, it's because Duke decided against all of its recent basketball to just slow it down to a Virginia pace, and their defense was really good and denied everything inside. Carolina couldn't make shots. I think that game's going to have so much pop. I think that game's going to have so much energy. And it's going to have a buzz to it that I think will get the game going up and down. So, I would literally expect almost any result in terms of even Carolina big would not surprise me. With big being 8 to 12 points, if North Carolina were to win and it was just Duke just had an absolute flop of an effort, it would be the first that we've seen all season.
Right.
But if there's a time when it could pop up out of nowhere, very last game of the regular season in Chapel Hill, if they they come out breathing fire, sure.
That would surprise me a lot.
That would surprise you a lot?
A ton, yeah.
Okay.
Duke coming out with, I think there are scenarios. I think North Carolina can win the game.
Yeah.
I don't think they will. I think there is a greater likelihood that Duke wins by 20 than Carolina wins.
Yes. I would agree with that.
So, yeah.
That's what I said. You could tell me almost any result from Carolina by 8 to Duke by 22, and I would believe it. But the one thing that I feel confident about is this going to be a track meet.
Yes. Yeah, I like 95-75, something like that.
Yeah, that's 170.
I mean, it is amazing to watch. I mean, they were what were they just they were just favored by 19.5 points against the Wake team that had to win and had them on the ropes in Winston-Salem. And I looked at it and I went, yeah, that's going to be easy.
Yeah.
to not even be concerned about 19.5 points is utterly crazy. All right, real quick, final thing. Final Four, TGL. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It has been I've enjoyed it when I've watched it, but it's not great, right?
Yeah, especially recently, it's been tough because I've really been trying to get everything honed and sharpened and ready for March.
Right.
And so I literally would rather, and it would benefit me more to watch VCU at Duquesne.
Yeah, I get it.
So I was just sorry, Tiger. I'm watching VCU at Duquesne.
Yeah.
Drew Joyce has got the boys frisky right now, and we need to make sure that that potentially the next power conference head coach, Ryan Odom, make sure he gets it back on track.
My favorite part of TGL was them trying to make New York Boston a rivalry. I just thought that was hysterical. I'm like, don't try that. Anyway,
yeah.
you are the best. Chip Patterson, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator. My man, I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Y'all be well.
They did that last week. I'm watching it and like, oh man, the New York Boston rivalry. I'm like, what are you doing? Nobody cares. Like we gave these teams names because they had to. Nobody cares that it's New York versus Boston. What are we doing? But shouts to ESPN for like trying to make that a thing. But that is just mind blowing. Nobody cares. All right. Interesting. Chip could see 8 to 12 point win for North Carolina. Again, I think the Tar Heels can win. I don't think they will. And I think it is more likely that Duke rolls. I also don't know that it matters to UNC as long as they take care of business elsewhere. Real quick, NC State plays tonight. I heard Matt Chazanow on with our friend Paul Ihander and Graham Hill earlier in the day. And he paints a very positive picture. He's the new voice of NC State sports. He paints a very positive picture for the Wolfpack making the ACC tournament. And it is very simple. Win tonight at home against Pitt, a team that has completely fallen on its face, and then win at Miami on Saturday. Notre Dame plays tonight at home against Stanford. Decent team, by the way, Stanford. So not in any way, shape, or form a game that Notre Dame figures to win. Notre Dame is a home underdog to Stanford. But Stanford. And then the last game of the regular season at home is against Cal. If Notre Dame loses both and NC State wins both, they are home underdogs tonight to Pitt. Slight, like 2.5 points. And they'll be probably road favorites at Miami because Miami is awful. State goes 2-0. Notre Dame goes 0-2. NC State's your 15th seed. There you go. That's the path. But that's the only way in for the Wolfpack. That's it. I've said this before about UNC, and I know there are people who think they have to win the ACC tournament to get in. I disagree. I think they are close. I don't think they have won any games over the last 3 weeks that do anything other than avoid losses. They did not add to the resume. They just posted 6 wins in a row. If they don't win Saturday, and again, I don't think they will, if they don't win on Saturday, win a couple of games, maybe 3 games in the ACC tournament, win until you play Duke again. We'll just put it that way. Win until you see Duke again. And if you keep doing that, I think UNC, like the 5th time I've almost called them NC State. If you keep doing that, no, maybe that's Freudian. Sorry. Then I think there's a chance. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I think there's a chance. Overall, the fact that you've only won 1 game against the field matters. So try to pick up some wins against teams that are likely to be in the NCAA tournament. And even though SMU is not one of those teams, it would be a good win if you face them somewhere in the ACC tournament. Wake Forest, again, not quite that good, but an opportunity. But it's really about Clemson and Louisville. And if you match up against them at some point, you're going to have to win one of those games. Maybe both. If you win 2, I think they'd be in. If Carolina's playing on Saturday night against Duke in the ACC tournament final, I think they're in the NCAA tournament. They could go 0-3 against the Blue Devils and still get in. That's what I believe. All right, we'll stretch. We will place bets. All of that coming up next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Did you know? Along with keeping their local communities powered, public power line workers are part of a mutual aid network spanning the state and country. Public power crews help their neighbors when natural disasters damage electric systems. And that mutual aid network is one of the reasons public power has the highest reliability rating among energy providers, forming a camaraderie among line workers that's second to none. Interested in joining public power? Learn more about careers at electricities.com.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
Dear North Carolina, for 70 incredible years, you've been by our side. From Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood to the wonders of Antiques Roadshow, from This Old House to NC Weekend, we've explored, learned, and grown together. Because of your support, PBS North Carolina has gone beyond the screen, inspiring, educating, and entertaining in classrooms, at home, and on the go. Celebrate with us when you watch new programming on PBS NC or stream anytime on the free PBS app. Learn more about PBS North Carolina at pbsnc.org.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college. Whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans, it all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
I'm Faith. I work as an American Sign Language interpreter, and I just graduated from my bachelor's program. I texted 988 because at the moment where I needed help, I realized that I didn't have access to English at the moment. Sometimes speaking gets hard for me, and they just helped me calm down, and then I was able to find a friend. It's free, and you can get in touch with people who are trained to help through all sorts of crises.
Call, text, or chat 988 24/7.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? A simple thank you, a friendly smile when you pass a stranger, looking people in the eye and greeting them with, "Hi, how are you today?" And really meaning it. It takes so little time, but it works wonders. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind to everybody. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
This is Adam Gold.
80-second mark, I scream in the booth. I screamed in the booth. Why the heck is he still on the ice?
Did you say it in Finnish?
I should have.
Yes.
No, he wouldn't. He curses in English.
He does.
All right, 2 seconds later, he scored.
Yes.
And I went, oh, that's why. That's what.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. Maybe it just shows my age, but...
Oh, I know there's another... Oh, I thought you were going to say the other version. I know.
No.
Etta James, though. She just gets me. Love her. So good.
I can listen to this. I can listen to Billie Holiday all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, it ages me, but... Sorry.
No, it's good. I mean, there's no auto-tune. You know, like it's, I don't know.
Oh, I'd like to hear T-Pain do this song.
Yeah. I know.
I'd like to hear T-Pain.
Little John.
Wait, Gold knows who T-Pain is? I saw T-Pain.
Did you?
Yeah. All right. Real quick story. My older son, who's now 26. For his, I believe it was his 13th birthday. 13th birthday? Took him to see the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, man. With Fergie? Because now,
Yes.
they tried to do it without Fergie.
No,
I'm like,
with,
no.
with Fergie.
Sorry.
We went to the Atlantic City Convention Center.
Okay.
Right? So drove up from up to New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
The Atlantic City Convention Center, which is a really cool venue. And T-Pain opened for the Black Eyed Peas.
Nice.
So I had no idea who T-Pain was at all.
But then he sung Apple Bottom Jeans, and you're like,
I
I
have
know.
no idea what he sang because it just sounded, it just all sounded like that.
Right.
So I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw T-Pain open for the Black Eyed Peas, and yeah, judge me. Black Eyed Peas at one point were cool. Right?
Yes.
They were cool. Anyway, yeah, you know who I saw at that show?
Who?
Justin Williams.
Oh, funny. Wow.
He was no longer, was he with the Hurricanes at that point? I think he was. I think he was still with the Hurricanes.
Yeah?
Because, Hurricanes traded Justin Williams.
Right? That was about
actually,
13
no, he
years ago?
wasn't. I think he was already with the L.A. Kings. But he spent summers on the Jersey Shore.
That's funny.
But yes, I saw him, and he recognized me before I saw him.
Yeah?
Yeah. He went to the show. He goes, wasn't it a great show?
That was before his pickleball days, because pickleball was not a thing back
Correct.
then.
We didn't have pickleball.
Man, good old days.
There you go. All right. Let's stretch. Story time is always fun time, isn't it?
It is fun. I love story time.
It was cool. It was a great venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw the Black Eyed Peas.
See, I like when you go to a concert and they're actually good. That's one thing I always worry about when you see somebody for the first time. One thing that coaches might need to be worried about now is being fined if they get a little too aggressive with the reffing officials, because this just came out earlier this morning. It's just a random little fact that the New Jersey Devils head coach was fined $25,000 for unprofessional conduct that was directed towards officials.
Sheldon Keefe got fined. Huh?
Yes, he did.
Too bad.
Yep. This happened in the third period of the game on Sunday. So, just in case you were wondering, that fine money will go to the NHL Foundation. So, there you go.
Goes right to Gary Bettman's retirement fund.
Yes, it does. One thing, though, that not such a great thing, in Winston-Salem, our own, this is in our own neck of the woods, back in my old stomping grounds, Texas Pete, if you were not aware, is from Winston-Salem. That's where it's at. T.W. Garner Food Company in Winston-Salem, 336. Well, they had some problems here recently. A fire started.
What?
But it wasn't because of the hot sauce. So,
Right.
no, it wasn't that. But I don't know what it was. The firefighters were able to get there early enough. They say that they think the fire started in a trash area and then spread to, towards a gas line. Thankfully, that didn't, get worse. But I don't know if they're going to make a special edition hot sauce.
Interesting, yeah.
Because
hot.
They did say that they don't think that it impacted any of the supplies in the warehouse. But that would be an opportunity to make like a limited edition extra hot or burning headquarters. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see how that
Are you a Texas Pete person?
I mean, I've gotten into the hot sauce, but I do like sriracha. So
right.
I think Texas Pete, it definitely needs to be mixed in with something that goes well together.
It's people get very territorial over hot sauces.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah. Like, I'm not necessarily a hot sauce person, but I do have a sauce that I like.
Ooh.
Pick-a-pepper.
I have not heard of
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Apparently
You're
we
welcome.
need to
go check it
get
out.
that.
Pick-a-pepper. Very good.
There you go.
Yeah.
We've got our favorites.
Also, tiger sauce. Very good.
Oh, see, there's
Not actual tiger, just so in case.
yeah, minus the tiger. Well, look, you learn something new every day. Something else that might be our favorites. A good bit.
Place your bets. Do you? I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you nothing.
Before we continue with the wagering, there's a story on highschoolot.com now about how soccer coaches in high school can actually get punished, whatever, however you want to call it, if people on their bench say things.
Oh.
So we have a real problem in youth sports extending to high schools over treatment of officials. They're not making millions of dollars to ref high school and youth sports.
No.
They're not. Shut up. Let them do their jobs. They're not the best in the world at it. They're still learning, much like the athletes and the coaches are learning. There's my editorial comment.
There you go.
You go first.
Makes sense. Well, all on the ice today. We'll see how this goes. St. Louis Blues are going to be in LA taking on the Kings. The Kings like to score a lot of points here recently, and I think it might happen against the Blues, especially at home. So give me the Kings to win, and I'm going to take the over 5.5. That is plus 200.
All right, we will start NC State at home to Pitt. Wolfpack have to win. They will. Plus 115 money line for the Wolfpack.
All right. Well, one team that we maybe don't want to see win, but I think they might tonight. Washington Capitals are going to be in New York taking on the Rangers, who are trying to get their stuff together. However, Ovechkin is also trying to get 11 more goals. So give me Caps to win this one, and I will take the under 5.5 plus 260.
You see, I like the Rangers in the under tonight. I think the Rangers are on a little bit of a run. Igor Shesterkin is starting to play Igor Shesterkin type hockey in net. Rangers outright under 5.5 plus 302.
All right, last but not least, Anaheim Ducks are going to be in Vancouver taking on the Canucks, or Canucks if you're that reporter.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Canucks under 5.5 plus 180.
Here's an emotional hedge, people. Champions League, round of 16, my Liverpool at PSG. I think PSG wins today, plus 150 for PSG. But I'll be rooting against my own financial interest.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. We're in the offseason, but that doesn't mean me and my co-host, WRAL TV's Chris Lee, take a break from our podcast, Panthers Playbook. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Panthers news as the NFL draft approaches, insight on free agents and prospects, plus all the insider info on who the Panthers want to pick at number 8. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Hear that? That's the sound of digital instants from the North Carolina Education Lottery. With instant wins, progressive jackpots, and bonus games right from your phone. It's nonstop chances to win like you've never seen or heard before.
Oh, yeah!
Big money! Visit nclottery.com to get in on the action. Must be 18 to play. See prize and odds charts at nclottery.com/digital-instance for details. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu? Fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I ordered the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50. Add any size Sprite for $1.49. Price of participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
North Carolina ranks among the top 10 states in the U.S. for human trafficking. Abusers often isolate victims from friends and family.
I didn't think I could escape, but then I found Project Fight. They helped me rebuild my life.
Project Fight offers comprehensive case management to support survivors with legal aid, housing, and emotional care. If you or someone you know needs help, call 919-390-6731. That's 919-390-6731. Or visit wakearmy.org.
Bravo, Brenda. You've always been a saver. Price matching your price matches. The self-proclaimed queen of extreme couponing. But this time you've truly outdone yourself. By saving for this electric vehicle, you're locking in up to $1,000 a year in fuel and maintenance savings, which will leave you saying, cha-ching, every time you unplug. Good for your wallet, great for the planet. That's the power of EV. Sponsored by the NC Clean Energy Technology Center and the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters in cooperation with this station.
Need CPAP supplies fast? I'm Brenden Giggling, president of Parkway Sleep Health Centers, and we are the Triangle's top sleep provider, offering quick access to the equipment you need for better sleep. Get the right supplies right when you need them. With over 20 years of experience, our expert team is here to help you sleep better, sooner.
Discover why so many trust Parkway Sleep Health Centers for better sleep. Visit parkwaysleep.com now and start your journey to a healthier night's sleep. Parkway Sleep Health Centers. Sound sleep. Sound health.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel neglected or unloved? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
Hammond had his pass tipped away. Peels quickly the other way. Ian Jackson angles his body, can't finish, but Lubin dunks it over a couple of Hokies in transition. 5 seconds to go in the half. Lubin to Trimble, he's gonna hammer it home with a second to go. There's the horn as Carolina emphatically ends the first half.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria in the Storm Center. Looks like things are brightening up.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, outside.
Oh, well, and that's right. I did look that up right before our 7th inning stretch while Chip was on here. We do have a couple of warnings. So our severe thunderstorm warning for the area should be expiring now, which that would explain the sun coming out.
It looks like it's getting nicer, yes.
Yes. However, I guess our area, at least central North Carolina, there's a tornado watch until 8 as of right now for Wake County, and then a wind advisory until 7 for central North Carolina. Just so you know.
Okay.
So we've got that down pat. But we should be out of the severe thunderstorm warning window.
Excellent. I hope everybody is safe. And I do know when, the difference between warning and watch is warning that we've spotted one.
Mm-hmm.
Watch is conditions are favorable.
Right.
Although who knows how longer we'll have those weather forecasting. I'm just kidding. Anyway, we got a lot of things to do. Coming up in a little bit, we'll talk a little NBA basketball with our friend Brenden Whitted. Is it possible? Now, I didn't see this happening. Is it possible that not only has the acquisition of Luka Doncic made the Lakers significantly more dangerous as a postseason team, but also extended LeBron James' career? He's 40 years old. He is crushing it still at age 40. One of the most remarkable things about what we're seeing this year in the NBA is at age 40, LeBron, and at age, I think, 36, Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
They are both still great. They're certainly not peak LeBron or peak Steph. They're different, but they are both still great. And the fact that they are still this good at their age.
A lot of cryo treatment.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Luka probably takes some pressure off of LeBron, so maybe that's like helping him shine more.
Mean, they were both just off the charts yesterday. The Lakers, I think, are second now in the West. They've been the best defensive team like the last month or so. It's crazy. They are, I don't know, maybe they're legitimately like serious title contenders. That would be amazing. And oh, by the way, the Mavericks general manager, it ain't going well. They're revolting in Dallas.
Pitchforks are out. Everything.
Pretty close to it.
Oh, no.
Pretty close to it. All right, Wall of Sound time.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
All right, let's get to it. We'll start with hockey, and we'll do. This is not from last night's game. We have our friend Pete Blackburn on. He does a show called What's Chaos. It's an online NHL show. He used to do a lot of work for then Bally's. Now it's FanDuel Sports Network. And he covers the sport of hockey. He's based in Boston. Anyway, on his show, they had Frank Saravalli from Daily Faceoff. And Saravalli is one of those hockey insiders, used to work for TSN, and now has branched off and is doing his own thing. And he was on talking about the options the Hurricanes have, or that Mikko Rantanen might have, if it's not with Carolina.
I would say if Mikko Rantanen is going to be on the move, I think you'd have to consider Vegas. I think you'd have to consider the LA Kings. And I'll throw a wild card at you because they've got the prospects, picks, and the cap space to do it and then even re-sign him, would be the Utah Hockey Club.
Oh, hell yeah. We want that in the offseason, brother. If we get that right now, sheesh.
But in the end, I'm not convinced that Carolina moves Mikko Rantanen. I think they keep him and roll the dice and see what happens.
All right, now it gets us into a brief conversation about that. We talked about it yesterday and the day before and the day before. I am not advocating for them to move Mikko Rantanen. I just think that it's important to bring out all of the angles of this equation. So there are decisions that have to be made. Are you a true Stanley Cup contender? If they believe the answer is yes, then you don't have to get to question number 2. With Mikko Rantanen, are we a true Stanley Cup contender? Yes. Okay, we move on. Doesn't matter whether or not he's going to re-sign or not. If the answer is, I'm not sure, then the second question comes into play, which is, what are our chances of re-signing him? If they believe that those chances are not great, then I do think that it would be smart to explore options that get you something that you need going forward. Better goalie, a really good guy on the blue line, maybe a center, which they desperately need. Although, I will say this real quick. This Barry Kotkaniemi has put together, 3, 4, 5 really good games in a row. Very encouraging for Carolina that Kotkaniemi has played as well as he has of late.
And he only had to fight in one.
Right, exactly. But I'm not setting the bar high for him. I don't ask him to score a point a game. I'm not asking for a bunch of goals. I'm asking to be tough to play against, be physical, be direct, get in the middle of the ice, cause some chaos, and I think he has been doing that lately. All right, moving on. I don't think they'll move Mikko Rantanen unless they're getting a complete haul back, and I don't think that's going to happen. North Carolina played great. 6 in a row. Sure, it was just Virginia Tech. Hubert Davis is happy, though.
I mean, I don't think it's any secret. We're playing well, and we're playing our best basketball right now. And, since, Clemson, we went up to Syracuse, something has changed in us, just the attention to detail. I just think we're more consistent at doing the little things. Obviously, no one's perfect, no team is perfect, no coach is perfect, but I think we're building really good habits and doing those little things consistently well. That's allowing us to be successful, and we just have a lot of guys settled into their role and playing well at the same time, and that puts a smile on my face.
Hey, you know what? I am here for Hubert Davis to be happy. I am a huge Hubert Davis fan. So good. Look, North Carolina hadn't beaten anybody in this stretch, but they have looked good, crushing the competition, and there's something for that. I mean, there's something to be said for that. Good for them. The real test for them is how will they handle Duke on Saturday. Look, the Blue Devils are one of the best 2 or 3 teams in the country. I almost said world. That would be inaccurate. But Carolina's playing well. All right, now, yesterday the Jets released Davante Adams. Real quick before we get into this clip, the Kansas City Chiefs traded former Wolfpack star Joe Thuney. He was playing tackle with the Chiefs, really a guard. They traded him to the Bears. The Bears have now added 2 former Pro Bowl really interior offensive linemen, doing what the Panthers did last year by beefing up the middle of their offensive line. So in the last 2 days, the Bears have really, strengthened themselves in the interior offensive line. Good for them. Smart move.
No,
all right.
Look at them being smart.
How about that? So Davante Adams bounced by the New York Jets. I don't know how much money they're saving. It's a substantial amount. Alan Hahn from ESPN New York on the Jets, essentially scrubbing the Aaron Rodgers era away.
It feels like they're just trying to whitewash the franchise of the Aaron Rodgers era. So Alan Lazard, you can go ahead and find a trade if you can. Otherwise, you'll be released. And, Davante Adams was the same situation. Does any team want to trade for you? No? Okay, then you get released. And it saves him $30 million in cap space. But it's not just about the cap space. It's also about, Aaron Rodgers and all the pieces that you brought in specifically for him. But it's clear that they went for it with him 2 years ago, that the Camelot was Hard Knocks in the preseason of 2023, and then running out with the flag. And from that point forward, the Rodgers era has been nothing but a disaster with the Jets. So they are ready to move on full force, including anybody that had any connection to him, because now there's one voice in this organization, and it's Aaron Glenn.
All right, here's what really makes me laugh here about this whole story is that it would be fundamentally insane to get rid of good players just because you were tired of the old quarterback. Except it's the Jets, in which case anything is on the table because it is the worst organization in all of major professional sports. So anything is possible. It's simply this. Davante Adams is pretty old. He might still be good, but if you're the Jets, you need cap room, and you need ultimately, I think the Jets are going to sell a lot of pieces because they ain't close to winning. I don't know who's going to be their quarterback. All right, one more very quick thing. Chris Canty thinks ultimately, from Unsportsmanlike, and we've said this before, that Aaron Rodgers is done.
it's a situation now with Rodgers where there's not a place that makes sense for him, given where he's at in his career, and it doesn't make sense for an NFL team to bring him in that's quarterback desperate because of where they are in their program development. It just doesn't make sense for either side. So when you start looking at the potential landing spots, I don't see them out there. So I lean toward Aaron Rodgers more likely than not retiring this offseason, calling it a career.
Yeah, I just think that there's no place for him to play. I mean, he doesn't want to play for a bad team, even though he just played for the Jets. He willingly signed with the Jets. It's hard to believe.
I know. He was optimistic about it, too. Yeah.
I feel bad for Mike Greenberg. I do. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I do. I feel bad for Jets fans.
He did choose that.
I mean, I grew up a Jets fan. I get it. I get it. I understand what it's like to believe against all logic. I get it. Bless you. Bless your hearts, all of you. I don't know if it's ever going to be different. I really don't.
Yeah.
It might be terminal.
Maybe.
It might be. All right, I guess we're done here. Brenden Whitted's going to join us on the other side. Are the Lakers, legit? Next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The Pack Therapy Podcast is in session thanks to First Horizon Bank. Tim Donnelly here, host of The Drive, alongside Wolfpack legend Casey Morsell.
Every episode is your chance to score inside information on the Pack.
We'll set you up for Wolfpack games all season long.
And we break down the ACC competition, what to watch for as we roll towards the tournament madness.
Plus special guests to keep Wolfpack hope alive.
Follow and subscribe to Pack Therapy wherever you discover your favorite podcast or watch on YouTube.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller. Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. I met Gordon in 1999. He told me about the no closing cost mortgage, and I thought, wow, I would like to save thousands of dollars when I refinance my mortgage, because at that point, I had already bought a house, but I knew the rates were lower, and I had met Gordon, and he told me about the no closing cost option, so I refinanced, lowered my monthly payment, didn't pay a dime to do that. Voila! I'm saving money hand over fist. Here's the thing. I'm an 11-time customer at Miller Lending. Have never paid a dime in closing costs. Have always refinanced to lower my monthly payment and saved money on both ends. No closing cost, lower monthly payment. I don't see why anybody would ever do it any other way. On top of the fact that it gives you the freedom to refinance free of charge when the rates come down. Do it. Miller Lending, an equal housing lender, on Kildare Farm Road in Cary, NMLS ID 250-2146. Do it now.
We all want more for North Carolina. More boundless views, more adventures in the outdoors, and more clean roads to get there. But to get more, we have to do less. Less littering, that is. Make it your nature to trash your trash and keep NC clean. And we'll all have more reasons to love North Carolina. Litter less, get more. For more on the 7 outdoor NC Leave No Trace principles, visit OutdoorNC.com. Sponsored by the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters and Visit North Carolina, a part of the Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina in cooperation with this station.
It's bow time.
Finally, lunchtime. I'm starving.
What's that?
This is the Bojangler from Bojangles.
Ooh, with the same bold flavor as their chicken?
The same.
And fries.
The same.
Huh. Well, I've got a PB&J.
Yeah, that's not the same.
A crispy fish fillet dusted in Bo's famous seasoning. With cheese and tartar sauce on a fluffy bun, the Bojangler's back. Hook one while you can. It's bow time.
There's no time like Bojangler time. Time to stop whatever you're doing and head over to Bojangles to try the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. You heard right, the Bojangler Fish Fillet Sandwich. A perfectly seasoned, light, flaky, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fish fillet sandwich. For limited time at participating Bojangles. Make it a combo and add Bojangles seasoned fries and legendary iced tea. Hungry for Bojangles but in the mood for something different? Then it's Bojangler time.
Beat the spring cleaning rush and call our cleaning heroes at Zero Res. This month, get 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at $119 and take $20 off your air duct cleaning. Book online anytime at ZeroResRaleigh.com and say you want the $99.9 The Fan special.
Parenting is hard. Technology can make it harder. The Family Media Plan developed by the American Academy of Pediatrics helps make it easier. Go to healthychildren.org/media plan today to create the media plan that's right for your family.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com. Or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Gold. Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a comment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. But yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Meniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. So LeBron James yesterday, in their win over the Pelicans, became the first player in the history of the NBA to exceed 50,000 points combined in both the regular season and the playoffs. He's still one of the top, I keep saying like 15 players in the NBA. That might be being disrespectful to him. I don't know. He's 40 years old. He is still one of those guys. And I thought it's worth the conversation. Brenden Whitted at HU Cosell on Twitter. Basketball brain, friend of the program. I don't even know where to begin, but really quick about LeBron. What do you make of a 40-year-old who seems to be now super energized based on current surroundings? No offense to you, Anthony Davis. But it does look like the Luka Doncic trade has given LeBron like the greatest B12 shot in the history of sports. What do you make of this?
First off, you missed the best part of last night where they put up the cryon of like best father-son duos, and they had like 50,000 and 60 points with him and Bronny over everybody else. It's like, come on, bro. Like,
it's not fair. It's really not fair.
That's not, all due respect, bro. That's not really the stat, my guy. But
I mean, it's true.
No, I mean, it's technically true.
There is a stat about like home run hitting brothers in Major League Baseball, and Henry and Tommy Aaron are on that list. So, I mean, Tommy played, but he ain't Hank. So never mind.
I'm gonna throw my little stuff in there. Look, I respect it. I legitimately respect it.
Right.
It really, what I think it is the most surprising thing about the Lakers post trade, and I'll get to LeBron in a second. But the most surprising thing about the Lakers post trade is that their defense got better. Most of the time, when you trade a guy who is simply uninterested in defense, as Luka has been for the duration of his NBA career, for a guy who was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate before he got hurt in Anthony Davis, the obvious, overwhelming thought process was, hey, they're going to be worse defensively, significantly worse defensively. Now, whether or not they were going to be able to buttress some of that decline defensively with just a fantastic offensive performance, that's all anybody was looking for. Like, hey, maybe they might just be able to just flat out score a gazillion buckets and it won't matter that much about the defense. But their defense has been really good. Just as a team, they had a top 3 defense in the last 10, 11 games. And I've been watching them a lot, trying to figure out what exactly it was, because nobody saw that coming on the horizon.
Right.
And it's the fact that you have a whole bunch of malleable defensive players, and they're kind of doing it the same way OKC did it before Chet came back, and the way that Boston does it whenever KP goes out. If you have a whole bunch of 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" players that want to play defense and that you can switch off and can play multiple positions defensively, man, that really can cause a lot of problems for a lot of different teams. And remember who you're talking about who's on the court. You're talking about Dorian Finney-Smith. You're talking about Rui Hachimura.
Right.
You're talking about Vanderbilt. You're talking about really plus defenders. And the fourth plus defender has been LeBron. And I think a lot of that, to get to your point about, hey, that B12 shot, LeBron's never played with two high-level play creators like Austin Reeves and Luka on one team before. He's had the Kyries, he's had Dwayne Wade, but to have two guys where he can legitimately say, you know what, I'm not going to bring the ball up. Right. I'm not initiating the offense. How many plays have we seen him just go baseline on just from one corner of the baseline to the other and just catch lobs? Why? Because they're so concerned about Luka, as well they should be, and his burgeoning chemistry that he has with Jackson Hayes. They're so concerned about that somehow the weak side LeBron just kind of is an afterthought, which is insane behavior, right? But they can legitimately do that because they added an all-world offensive player, arguably the best offensive player in the league, and he still hasn't even had multiple super efficient games for them yet. Like, they are very – I wasn't sure what it was going to look like, but it's looked even better than I thought, and it's looked better quicker than I thought. I think LeBron understands that this might be his last best chance to get a championship, and he is playing like it, particularly on the defensive end. Yeah,
it seemed pretty super efficient last night against the Pelicans.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, LeBron was 34, 8, and 6. I think 5 of 10 from three-point range. And Luka was 38 and 15.
Yeah.
6 of 13 from three. I mean, it's just insane. So my question is, they are now second in the Western Conference. I mean, if you're second in the West, I think it's fair to say that you are a legitimate,
Absolutely.
NBA championship contender. I mean, they're still substantially behind the Oklahoma City Thunder.
They went ahead and ran away with it. They're going to win the West, and that's that's been
50 wins. I think, what are they, 50 and 11? Or no, that's Cleveland's record. I mean, they both have 50 wins.
They're both, like, they've both been the number one overarching teams on both of their conferences. The Celtics have given Cleveland a little bit of a push lately, but both those are. I'd be shocked if both of those teams weren't number one seeds heading into the postseason.
Do the Lakers, Brenden Whitted is joining us, do the Lakers match up with Oklahoma City? First of all, nobody matches up with SGA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is like having one of those seasons, an all-time season. Now he's starting to put 50 on the board.
Fourth 50-point game in his last 20. Fourth 50-point game in his last 20. He didn't have any in previously. He's hit it.
Wilt.
Wherever we start going back and looking at his career,
yeah,
this is the season where it peaks. Like, last year, he was phenomenal. He would have been my MVP vote for last year just because I think he was so good defensively. This year, he's still that kind of dog defensively. I wouldn't even shout anybody down for having the defensive player of the year conversations.
Sure.
Again, he would be my MVP guy. But goodness gracious, man, his scoring has just gone to a completely different level. And the fact that he can seemingly get to the paint whenever he wants to. If you've ever wondered what Chris Paul would look like with elite athleticism and size, it's SGA. The way that he can manipulate pick and rolls, the way that he can, his back to the basket game, like, he's just started adding things on top of things where it's just like, okay, you're the guy. Like, I think he's playing the best basketball in the association. He is so good and puts so much pressure on defenses to collapse and to respond. And he has the talent around him, whether it's J-Dub or Chet or Lou Dort. Like, he has so many other
they're good,
fantastic players that he's like, okay, you run at me if you like to. I'm going to make a play, and they're going to make a play in the 4-on-3 afterwards.
I'm looking forward to. I hope we get in the NBA playoffs. I hope we get Lakers and Thunder. I hope we do. Hope nobody gets.
There's a chance we get Thunder, Golden State in that first round, which is really what I really want to see. That, because, like, as much as I believe in the Thunder,
I think Golden State's going to finish in the top 6. So I don't think we get. I think we get Golden State, LA before we get Oklahoma City dealing with it.
Probably. Like, it's so jumbled there, and you know how teams guys start to miss games with phantom injuries towards the end just in case you don't want to play this team. Not that would ever happen in the NBA,
of course
right?
Not,
They would never manipulate their own standings in order to get a more favorable matchup.
See what Kawhi Leonard did? I mean, it really is about Kawhi. Kawhi did that. And then everybody went, hey, we can get away with that too. Let me ask you real quick about the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Who goes further in the Eastern Conference playoffs? And I know we have not seen any matchups yet. Pistons or the Knicks?
Ooh. I'm going to stick with the Knicks because the Pistons, as good as they have been during the regular season, that team is crazy young. Like
they are.
Kate Cunningham, Durham, I like those players. They still don't have Ivy back. I don't know if he's getting back before the end of the season. But they just haven't together gone to the postseason. I know they have older players, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias Harris. I know they have guys that have played in the playoffs before, but this unit hasn't played together. That matters to me. And I know that they made the splashy pickups of Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns with the Knicks. But for whatever reason, I believe in them a little bit more. Brunson, clutch player of the year. That dude is
amazing.
Filthy in the games. And so that's the 1 and 1A I'm doing right there. Like, hey, Detroit's been a fantastic story. I'm looking forward to them being good in the future. Right now, I have a hard time believing that you're going to come off the gate and just start making second, third round. Like, I just don't believe that you're going to be able to make runs into the postseason. I'd love to be wrong about them because they've been the most exciting surprise of the season. I just don't think that's not usually how it works in the NBA.
Which of the Thompson twins is with Pittsburgh? Is with Detroit? Is it Asar or
Asar? Yeah, Asar. Amon's
both
with
both
Houston,
of them are great.
Yeah,
they're both amazing. They are a walking advertisement for Overtime Elite. But both of those players are dynamite. All right, final thing for you, Brenden Whitted, and it really circles back to the beginning. As good as it's been in LA, it has been the opposite in Dallas to the point where fans are revolting on the Mavericks, walking out like they have no time for it, and all of their players are hurt. I mean, Anthony Davis is hurt, Lively's hurt, Kyrie's out for the year. They're all hurt. They have nobody left. How is this going to end for, who is it, Nico Harrison? The GM? The guy who traded Luka?
Yeah, it's hard. And I know people have wanted to spread it around like to ownership. I understand ownership is new. Mark Cuban, I think, still owns a minority part of it. But ownership
he would not have made this trade. Mark Cuban would not have traded Luka.
He told you straight up, I go to the divorce court before I'm getting out of the Luka Doncic's marriage I'm in. So, like, that man was very clear. He thought he had Dirk. He thought he had another Dirk that was going to stay there for the duration of his career. And it sounded like from all the reports that Luka wanted to do the same. Now, Dallas has been like just slow, steady leaking out a whole bunch of just anti-Luka stuff for the past couple of weeks. They got to stop that. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Oh, well, he liked hookah. You could have put it on the bench, my guy. I don't care. I don't care if he he likes a beer after the game. Get that
during the game
pack
at halftime.
Go ahead. Would you like a Coors Light, my guy? Like, now is not the time. Now is not the time to be doing whatever this is. I thought y'all wanted to win some basketball games. I know y'all were into self-help. I don't know what that was. Like, they kept doing it, and I'm over here looking at Luka getting triple doubles in LA. Like, okay, like I don't care. Like, he was the face of that franchise. Period. Nobody had him going anywhere. And you not only do you trade him for a dude that couldn't make it through one game.
Right.
Like, it's insane. And then Kyrie gets hurt. This season is a complete wash. And I understand people want to make fun of ownership, but they don't. I don't think they have any ties to basketball. So if your main GM, if your basketball guy, whatever his president basketball operations, whatever it is, if he's telling you, hey, this is not going to be worth the $350 max that we're going to have to give him in a couple of years, we should trade him. They're probably just going to listen to you because they don't really know anything about the sport. They don't necessarily know about how these things work. And so it's all on him. And if I were ownership, I'd put it all on him. I'd be like, oh, man, I can't believe he did this. He's gone. Like, you have to get rid of him. You have to. Because, like, there has to be some sort of recompense for what you did to that franchise. Y'all just left the finals. This isn't some middling Dallas team where it's like, oh, well, it's fun. They score a lot of points, but they can't stop anybody. Y'all was just in the finals, my guy. And now there's a solid chance you won't make the playoffs.
Right.
And your most recognizable player is playing and might be winning the championship. No, somebody got to go. Somebody has to go. I've never seen a fan base react this way for this long after trading somebody. This was their guy. You traded him. You're worse. And now he's about to go do numbers over there in L.A. So it's not like you can forget about him. He didn't go to Toronto. He went to L.A. Bruh, nah, pack your bags, my guy. Pack your bags. Gotta go. Maybe unfair. I don't know. But somebody's going to lose their job. And it should definitely be the guy that went to the LA game and started staring daggers at this dude.
Do you get a Pulitzer for a photograph? Because the photograph of Nico Harrison at the game, Mavericks at LA, Nico Harrison clearly looking at Luka with this grim look on his face, and we have no idea if Luka is looking back at him or not. We really don't, because you're looking at it from behind. He could be looking anywhere.
Luka knew where he was.
Luka
definitely knew where he was.
Of course
Luka
he did.
definitely knew where he was.
But that photograph.
We just need to make Luka make behind-the-back passes. He ain't got to be looking to know where you at.
That was one of the great photographs of the year.
Absolutely.
Right there. I would put that on a T-shirt, a coffee mug, a billboard, everywhere. Brenden Whitted, my man, I appreciate your time. We didn't even talk about the Hornets. Next time at HU Cosell on Twitter when it's mathematical. Talk about we'll
go Tar Heels, baby. Go Tar Heels. We'll see you Saturday, baby. Let's go get it.
You like your chance on Saturday?
I think we're 8.5-point dogs. So yeah, I mean, if you were to
that's
bet on
it.
It would have been 18 if it were like 2 weeks ago. it would have been 18. Like I heard the Hubert clip before I got on, and he was like, I don't know what clicked. You know what clicked? You finally started putting Jackson and Powell on the court at the same time, like you I don't know, like you've seen a basketball game for the last 20 years. It's fine. Super happy. You know what? I'm gonna choose to be joyous and happy as opposed to being salty that it took this long. It's okay. It's all right. Let's go Heels, baby. Let's go Heels. Let's get after it.
You're the man, Brenden Whitted at HU Cosell on Twitter. I appreciate your optimism. We'll talk very soon.
Absolutely.
All right. When we come back, we'll go into rewind. 8.5. That seems low. That seems awfully low for me. You know what it is? When the lines seem unusually one way or the other, I'd still give it. All right, when we come back, we'll go into rewind next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel. Again, America's #1 sports book, because FanDuel's your home for live NBA betting. So even if you miss the start of the game, you're not out of luck. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, make every moment more. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Did you know? Along with keeping their local communities powered, Public Power line workers are part of a mutual aid network spanning the state and country. Public Power crews help their neighbors when natural disasters damage electric systems. And that mutual aid network is one of the reasons Public Power has the highest reliability rating among energy providers, forming a camaraderie among line workers that's second to none. Interested in joining Public Power? Learn more about careers at electricities.com.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
Dear North Carolina, for 70 incredible years, you've been by our side. From Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood to the wonders of Antiques Roadshow, from This Old House to NC Weekend, we've explored, learned, and grown together. Because of your support, PBS North Carolina has gone beyond the screen, inspiring, educating, and entertaining in classrooms, at home, and on the go. Celebrate with us when you watch new programming on PBS NC or stream anytime on the free PBS app. Learn more about PBS North Carolina at pbsnc.org.
Going to college gives you more career options. You could say it pays for itself, but it might not feel that way in the short term, especially when tuitions do. That's where the FAFSA comes in. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. It's your gateway to money for college. Whether you're seeking scholarships, grants, work-study programs, or loans, it all starts with the FAFSA. So how about it? Make a plan for college and find everything you need for the FAFSA at cfnc.org.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Electricity. It's what powers our lives, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. In North Carolina, 26 local electric cooperatives provide energy to 2.8 million people across the state. But we're providing so much more than affordable, reliable power. We're helping to strengthen the people and communities that make our state great, today and for generations to come. North Carolina's electric cooperatives. Power you can count on, now and always. Learn more at ncelectriccooperatives.com.
This is Adam Gold.
But whenever you say, well, we're not using this as an excuse, no, we are. Whether it's justifiable or not can be a different discussion, but you are.
It's like the equivalent of saying no offense, but ...
Offense coming.
Yeah, get ready for it.
Look out. Here we come with some offense for you.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. We're going to rewind in a minute. David McKenzie, intellectual property attorney, on the settlement between the ACC, Florida State, Clemson, and others. And Chip Patterson, our friend, CBSSports.com, Cover 3 podcast moderator, also on the same topic, but we have different angles at it. And we'll get that in the rewind. First, last night, the Carolina Hurricanes were winners 2-1 over the Detroit Red Wings. And I talked about this earlier, but I thought, hey, I think it's important to go back over what we saw in the game. And we have some basketball to get to as well here, as the Tar Heels won impressively at Virginia Tech. NC State has their season in front of them tonight with a must-win, no choice, have to win. A loss eliminates them. The magic number for Notre Dame to clinch the last spot of the ACC tournament is 1, meaning one of either a Notre Dame win or an NC State loss puts the Irish in the ACC tournament and leaves the Wolfpack out, and that would be utterly embarrassing for NC State. So the Hurricanes won last night in Detroit. Good win. Red Wings a little bit struggling right now. They have lost 3 in a row. First 2 of those games to Columbus, and then last night to Carolina. And there's a lot of good out of the game last night. Jordan Martinook, Jordan Stahl, they each scored wrapped around the first intermission. Martinook scored with a minute to go in the first period. Stahl scored a minute and a half into the second. Second goal was kind of a gift. It was just a puck that jumped the stick of Alex Lyon. Stahl scooped it up and wrapped it around and swept it in. But Carolina, I mean, they were excellent defensively last night, Sunday against Calgary. Even in the loss to Edmonton on Saturday, they were excellent defensively. If you go through an entire game against McDavid and Draisaitl, and you basically allow each one, good scoring chance, and that's all there was, you've done a great job. And not enough was made of that. Like, they lost the game to Edmonton. They did. But there was really some good defense played by Carolina, and they're getting back to playing really good defense, which is, and it has always been their identity. And we get enamored with the goal scoring, and the goal scoring needs to be there. But first and foremost, this team has been about goal prevention. It's just the best way to put it. Now, you still need those guys, and that's what Mikko Rantanen is here to do. He's here to help score goals, especially in the postseason. But there was a lot of good in this 4-game run. Carolina's 3-1-0 in their last 4. Sabres, you should beat the Sabres. Edmonton, you lost. Calgary, should beat Calgary. Detroit, probably should beat Detroit. So not a ton of heavy lifting, but it has looked very representative of what Carolina's about. So a lot of positives to take out of that in terms of how they defended. I think, especially in the last 2 games, I think tremendous positives to take out of goaltending. Last night it was Frederik Andersen, who was really good. The night before it was Pyotr Kochetkov, albeit against just 16 shots. He had to face a lot of quality in the first part of the second period in a goal-free game at that point. There were no goals. And the fact that the Hurricanes escaped that, not trailing, was because 52 played great. So 2 games in a row, they have gotten good goaltending. And then they eventually, against Calgary, got the 2 goals. One in regulation, the other in overtime with Aho. And they got their 2 goals yesterday. And while there were some nervous moments, they made it stand. And they picked up 2 more points last night. Last 4 games, you remember Carolina is 3-1-0 in the 4. They still have scored just 10 goals. And that is the detriment to me. Or the negative side of this is that for all of their good defensive play and puck possession, still not scoring. That their winning is important. At some point, that is going to have to start looking like a 3 and a 4 goal game as opposed to a 2 goal game. And Carolina's little stretch of hockey here right now, Boston at home tomorrow, then Sunday at home against Winnipeg. They're still the best team in the West, although they have come back down to earth a little bit. And then Tampa Bay on Tuesday. Tampa, it looks like they're going to continue to add to their mix as they make the turn for the playoff run. They're already great. You've got that top line. You've got Hedman. You've got Vasilevsky. They're still a contender. So this little run, especially those 2 games next week with Winnipeg and Tampa, and then Detroit comes in, I believe, after that. But this run of those two teams at home, it's going to be a pretty big test of, can you get more than 2 goals on the board?
Yeah.
Against somebody not named Buffalo.
Yeah. Well, and the Red Wings are going to come in hot next time. They ended it on a hot note.
They should be mad. Right now, by the way, the Rangers are in wild card 2 in the Eastern Conference. But it's great that the Hurricanes are starting to play their game, and they're getting better goaltending, and they're not making the gaffes on the blue line. But at some point, they're going to have to get back to the business of scoring some goals. Bottom line, this team will go as far as defense and goaltending takes them. It's really not about goal scoring, but you got to be more than 2. And in more than half of the games since they played 30, if you cut the season almost in half, took Carolina's first 31 games, actually it is in half, first 31, next 31, it is stunning how many games Carolina has scored 2 or fewer goals. It's more than half. It's got to get better. Has to get better. They actually put both of these last 2 games in jeopardy by not being able to score more because they dominated both games. And you can't dominate a game and almost lose. It's my take on that. All right, let's get into a rewind. All right, I have some things I want to talk about in terms of the Tar Heels in basketball, and we will get to that in a minute. But David McKenzie, intellectual property attorney, very outspoken critic of the Atlantic Coast Conference for settling, joined us earlier, and I asked him about the settlement that the ACC reached with Florida State and Clemson to eliminate the lawsuits, and I just wanted his reaction to what happened.
Well, I think you used the word capitulation, Adam. That
Yeah.
would be, I think, entirely accurate. It was complete capitulation to Florida State University, Clemson, and I would argue the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. I think that Carolina is easily the biggest winner out of yesterday's deal. I don't think, one point I would disagree with you, Adam, is that I don't think the grant of rights really survived. The grant of rights, in so many ways, was weakened by yesterday's settlement. Now, I do need to disclose that I haven't seen this deal, and until I do see this deal, I won't know for sure that these opinions that I'm offering are entirely accurate. But, the grant of rights was reduced in terms of its length. And the entire time, the thing that held the ACC together was the grant of rights. Now, there was kind of two components that I've been trying to explain that Florida State was litigating. One was the exit fee, and the other was the grant of rights. The exit fee, in my view, was never really an issue. That amounted to like 3 times the operating revenues of the ACC, which was about $150 million.
Right.
But what Florida State did, and they were excellent at it, was basically amalgamating the value of the grant of rights agreement or the media rights under the grant of rights agreements with the exit fee. So the value of the grant of rights agreements, if you think about their media rights, all you have to do is look, what is the ACC paying out on an annual basis? I think it's something like $50 million a year.
Close.
So there's 11 years left on the grant of rights agreement. So that's $550 million plus the exit fee of roughly $125 million. So you're getting close to $700 million, which is the figure Florida State has been using. Now they're looking at sort of a graded scale on the exit fee that is now also the value of the grant of rights agreement. So all of that, they've been successful in consolidating into one. And as we saw yesterday, in 2030, it will be basically a sweetheart deal of $75 million to leave. And I would expect that at that time, several schools will do that.
All right. So my only pushback is I still think the grant of rights held because this does delay. This basically gives certainty for the next 6 football seasons. So starting with this one, for all the way through the 2030 football season, as long as there is an ACC football season, and I think that should be the caveat, Florida State and Clemson will both be in it, which will give Florida State the opportunity to underachieve for 6 more years. The truth of the matter is that I do think that the ACC, first of all, I thought it was a bad move. I thought it showed weakness when you really were in a position of strength, which maybe belies that you weren't in a position of strength, and I've misread it, which is possible. But I thought the ACC could have just dug in, stood their ground, and even if Florida State won a temporary victory in the state of Florida, I mean, legally, I just don't see how that stands up. So upon appeal, when you get to a federal court, I just figured Florida State was ultimately going to lose. But there is a cost, both real, billable hours, and not imagined, but public perception by having members of the conference sue each other and having that ongoing and having that kind of like vibe circulating around the league. And that cost was probably weighed against what the freedom of not having to deal with that is worth. And so I can understand it. And on top of that, and this has been a conversation, who knows what college football is going to look like in 6 years? We might not have an ACC, an SEC, a Big Ten, or a Big 12 in 6 years. It might be one giant Greg Sankey conference, for all we know. And in that case, it won't matter what league you're in. We talked about that with David Hale yesterday. We have no clue what it's going to look like. No clue. So in some ways, I'm fascinated. I wish I could see into the future to see what it looks like. It could be crazy. And maybe it will return the other sports back to what it used to be. That would be the best case scenario. Let football just be, super money hungry and only do that, and let everything else be returned to normal. Speaking of normal, there's a bunch, and this is not normal, there's a bunch of NIL contracts. Great story on ESPN right now. Is it Dan Murphy? Is it one of their top investigative reporters? They have gotten a look at NIL contracts that schools, because with the House settlement coming, that schools have signed with athletes. And you will not be surprised here. Very one-sided. Athletes have very little, wiggle room with where they can go, what they can do, but yet they're not getting employee status. I'll say this one more time. One more time. Schools. It's going to happen eventually. Just collectively bargain. Please, just do it. Best thing for all parties. Best thing for all parties. Collectively bargain. Then everybody knows the rules of engagement. Schools can protect themselves rather than sign very restrictive one-way contracts with athletes. All right, whatever. Real quick to Chip Patterson. I wanted his take. Winners in the settlement are?
I think that Florida State wins even more than you might imagine if you look at it from the viewpoint that what they ended up getting, if they get everything pulled together and are not 2-10, the first ever 17th place team in the ACC standings. Congratulations, hang a banner. I think that Florida State got more than what they pitched.
They did.
Because remember, this was like 2 years ago.
Yep.
They started to bring up the idea of revenue distribution, essentially based on television ratings. Now they are getting, even more on top of that. So
plus performance if they perform.
Right, but with the exit fee dropped as well, thrown onto it.
Yeah.
I think Florida State's a big winner in the sense that they got even more, which might, if I was to be a little bit reckless here, might tell you either how uncomfortable the ACC had gotten with just dealing with this or its legal position, at least in terms of, where things were going to be.
Yeah.
Where was this going to be decided?
All right, so I do think UNC is a big winner. Florida State feels like they got more than they asked for. In order to get the most out of it, though, they're going to have to win. And that is the component of this that I actually like the most. Because I can make an argument that the schools that do the best and do the most for the league should get more out of it. Absolutely should. And I don't think anybody should have a problem with that. The days of, the league is the thing, in some cases it can be, but in most cases, especially in the ACC, especially for football, there's a lot of schools that invest a lot more than the others. In the SEC, there's a lot more investing across the board. So I understand why that's more equitable. Doesn't have to be in the ACC. We should be okay with a meritocracy here. And I think it's better business for Syracuse, Boston College, Pitt, etc., Wake Forest, to even get a little bit less money to make sure that a good chunk of money keeps coming in, because the alternative isn't ideal for anybody. All right, very quickly about UNC. If Brenden Whitted is correct and the line is 8.5, I'm kind of surprised it's that low. But, hey, whatever. Like I said before about North Carolina, they're playing really well. They haven't beaten anybody. And I don't say that they can't beat Duke. I don't think they will, but I will never say that they can't, because this rivalry still delivers, and it usually delivers great theater. That would be great theater, but we are well away from that. And we will talk about it more tomorrow, and then Friday. Victoria, thank you very much. Take the rest of the day off.
From the heels
Touchdown, Carolina!
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Kevin Keats and state basketball have to do something, and I'll tell you what that is. They have to acknowledge what is happening. This season, it's a failure. That's not to say each individual player isn't working harder. There's no likable people in the program. It's just that after last season, this season, it's not enough. And they have to figure out how to fix it for next season.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Which of us, detective, do you suspect is the millionaire?
The evidence is everywhere. Your diamond necklace, Monty's new yacht, and the butler's new convertible.